Take a big kahunas.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much there.
Audio check.
Yeah, well, I had to check because I wasn't even sure microphone is on. Ramin says she checked for us, but I mean,
Ramin is the best.
Well, that's what you got to ask for. Those chocolates are delicious, by the way. The market is rapidly heading to the downside, distinctly heading to the downside, clearly headed to the downside. It was interesting because it was like, oh, DJT's not doing much. Well, it's not falling all over itself. So I would say for those that are not interested in DJT, if you're looking for bullish today, you're probably finding some kind of a small cap gap or along those lines. I don't even know if there is anything. There was some news in the midday on Apple and then Tesla as well. Those are both headed in. Tesla before earnings down 2.5% and well underneath that 214 level. But everything is pretty much headed down. It's pick a name, even if it was strong this morning like TSM, it's certainly fading heavily here today. So there was also news on middle of the day on McDonald's, although I would grant you McDonald's is doing better than the rest of the pack. No, there was an update of potentially like maybe more issues going along the line, but it is back higher. It's actually trending up, but there was a drop of like $6 or $7. I know because I had just gotten out of the short and then watched it like drop $5. The only thing I'm in right now is going to be Enphase. Oh, I have to take a fill as well. So look, guys, it's a down market, no questions asked. At this point, if you're hunting for bottoms, they better be capitulation bottoms, or maybe on something trending up if you can find it.
All right. The next time we're feeling like this, good morning. It was a good morning. Feeling bearish here on all of these names. These stocks were actually up at one point. I don't think NVIDIA was ever up, but they all started to go and they all went to the downside. So as you can see right now, we started by shorting SMCI early. What's up, everybody? Hope everybody had a great afternoon. We did, and right now we have $2 in the money on AMD. We started the day shorting SMCI. You guys remember we lost right there. We got out. Look what SMCI is doing. Again, should have reloaded it. Weren't here. When we did come here, we were right here, and we shorted AMD to the downside. But what a great opportunity that was to get 46 again for SMCI. And then, of course, on the sticky note as well is IBIT. And we wrote down here that we like to short at 38 in IBIT because we were watching out for Bitcoin right there. There's the win for IBIT right there today again. So, again, the top three stocks, I mean, we got AMD, SMCI, and IBIT are all P&L 1, 2, 3 today. So there you go, man. Look, Bitcoin continues to make a move down. I mean, I'm thinking about maybe getting out right now as we look to cover at a spot that we've already been at earlier on today on that flush. So far, so good, though. It's been a great day. Hopefully, it'll continue to be that. We have earnings tonight, obviously, with Tesla coming through. Let's have a quick look at Tesla. I know it's probably on the board for you guys to ask us about it, down 2.51%. I mean, we talked about this earlier. I don't think there was any point in trading it today. That story that came out was supposed to be a good one, but it didn't really make any sense to me that it would make that big of a difference. So the new, I guess it was Japan, the power modules there for the home charging.
It's not that big of a...
Nah, not that big of a deal. And you can see the market right now getting ready for that report tonight. Hey, if you're a bull on Tesla, this is better for you. You get to get it 3% lower. We'll wait to see what winds up happening, though. I'm not. One of my rules is to never buy. I don't need to trade the pool hat on. Never buy stock too much ahead of earnings, right? And so you want to make sure to give it a second to breathe. You give the 3-day rule afterwards as well. But yeah, Tesla getting knocked up. Man, that AMD. That's the trade. For me, that's the trade there. It's really turned my day around. So, all right, Sharif is ready to go, baby. He's over at the desk. Let's go.
Welcome, guys, to the Afternoon Rundown, the show where you decide what we talk about every day. Neil and Sean, ready to go. Ready to look at the tickers as decided by you. So make sure to join us during that midday show and get into the chat and vote for your favorite tickers. Let's start by looking at some of these indices, though. The triple Q's really taking it on the chin today, down 2%, the worst of all the indices. It looks as if the NASDAQ is down to, as I said, 2%, about 1 1/3 for the ES and another third for the Dow. The Russell looks like as if it is down 1 2/3 last time I looked, but The number one taker as decided by you guys, AAPL. This one coming in and as an aggressive sell during the midday as a result of this analyst. Ming Chi Kuo says Apple iPhone 16 orders cut by around 10 million units. No evidence yet. He goes on to say that the Apple intelligence could boost sales. He later came on and specified exactly what he meant. To avoid any misunderstanding, the 10 million unit cut is the sum of 3 quarters of cuts, and then specifying exactly what quarters he meant there. In any event, guys, it's down almost 3.5% right now.
I mean, how many times have we seen the story, or I shouldn't say the story, I should say a story of demand for the new phone's gone this way, it's gone that way. I think everybody agrees that you're going to get a good update cycle. It's just a matter of like when it's going to be. And I didn't trade any Apple today. The thing about that 233 or looking for a dip at 230, you're not, just because it's a support level from before, you're not obliged to sit on a bid when something looks that bearish. I think that's kind of important. Like, it doesn't matter that, okay, it held 232 there before. Well, look what's, 233 there before, but news drops and it flushed right through. Then you look at that 230 support level. I mean, it just flushed and continued all red right back in through Apple. You're like, okay, well, what might be next? The 50-period moving average is at $226, 226.5, I should say. So that's pretty much the level that I think maybe you can catch some kind of a bid where it can hold. But on the daily chart, on a 50-period, that's not some line in the sand where you just stick a bid in as a day trade and go long. Sometimes it'll respect it, maybe hold down there a day or two. If it confirms that, then we can look for some support down here. So you get an all-time high pullback. I don't want to call it a fail break because it never actually got above 237.50. So pull back off that all-time high level, and you're going to retest the 50-period moving average. So let's see how it reacts to that later today or possibly the rest of the week. Clearly, 225 on a Friday, I think, would be a nice level because I think those $5 levels, typically, they are good places to hold around and scalp. But until we get there, wait for that 50-period moving average. Trend is clearly to the downside on Apple. And really, the lesson just comes down to, it doesn't matter if it held there before. There was nothing doing at 233. There was nothing doing at the 230 level. No higher lows, nothing that would give you any kind of a long play. So sometimes the best trade you can make on the stocks to say, yeah, that might have been a good one yesterday, but it ain't today.
Oh, man. Okay, so Apple, I'll just look at it quickly here with you. I don't have any trades on this name today either. Yesterday was a big trade to the long side, and today it's a big trade to the short side. So, again, this is what reports will do, unfortunately. Wow, AMD is really cranking right now. Now $2 in the money and going lower as the market just continues to go down. Look, not only is this an Apple story, but it's also a market story. Apple being, the largest constituent, well, I don't know if anymore, well, Microsoft and keep going back and forth there in the NASDAQ and in the S&P 500. So no surprise here. Again, it's strange that we are feeling bearish today, and it's really Apple that has started this move down. All right, we tried to go long NVIDIA before. I don't even want to look at Sofi. If Sofi's at 1070 or 1080, I'm probably walking out. So we'll have to see what that's at. 138 right now. NVIDIA down 4%. All right, we had Sofi as a banger yesterday, and by that we had it early and lost. Let's go find out what Sofi's at. Please tell me, Sharif, it's not in the 170s.
I'm doing a lap
of the 1070s.
Oh, you mean 1070? I'd do a lap if it's over $11, and I can't. And physically, I can't.
I had it yesterday. It's just today I don't. So let's see what it's at. What's up, Sharif?
If it's breaking.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, if it's breaking out on a day like today, that's about as bullish as remotely
ARM is
possible.
down 8%.
Uh-oh, ARM.
That's a reach.
I was on the wrong page. What do you mean fail?
So SoFi is down. It's at 1020, so it's down about 3.5%. There's really no news catalyst, so it looks like it's in sympathy with the market. There was this little tidbit from Monday, though, the Biden administration looking at extending loan forgiveness by 6 months for about 8 million planned borrowers. We know that SoFi, one of their moats is that they look to refi higher interest student loans at lower interest rates, and so that can't be good for them, guys. Now down 3 2/3.
Okay, so it's not up.
Feel justified.
No, I was going to say, like, anything, like, which on days like today, you want to pay pretty decently close attention to anything that might be strong or breaking out, because then you file away that for some relative strength going into tomorrow or even later on today as we go. Just one quick thing, because I want to go over. So right here is where Enphase at the open made a break off of 77. So if it broke out, it's a SSR bounce or dead cat bounce, whatever you want to call it. But if it gets down underneath 77, I do think you're probably going to run into like some kind of an SSR bounce play again. So it just made a bounce here off 77.5. I took one more leg out. I've moved my trail back into break even here. So that's the only update for that. But as far as SoFi goes, it's not complete and abject disaster when you take a look, when you take a step back. Maybe the daily chart's going to be better here for SoFi, because that steep trend to the upside that it's been on, that's intact. The liquidity grab that happened a few days ago to give you that next leg up, that higher low was at about 985. That's going to correspond with, you know, the bottom of this trend that it's been on since bouncing off the 50 period. So for at least SoFi, this is so far a healthy pullback. If you get underneath the trend, this has happened before where you think you're breaking out on SoFi. I don't know if I can go out far enough for you to be able to see it, but you think you're breaking out, it loses the trend line and accelerates into the 50-period moving average, which is where it stops. That's what happened the last time it did this move, and oddly enough, the exact same high within 10 or 15 cents. So I like the fact that you're holding up some higher lows for now, but it needs to consolidate. The last time it did this, it just followed a big first reversal day with an even bigger second day and an even bigger third day. Tomorrow's going to be key for SoFi if it can hold on to this $9.80 to $10 level. If it can and bounce back higher, break out that top again, I think you got another leg into the upside. But you're in a wait and see. This isn't the kind of day to just rush in there and sit on the bid. If there's like 10 million shares sitting at $10 and you want to go 0-1s long with a 99 stop, that's not the end of the world, but that would be about it for me on SoFi today.
All right, so we liked it yesterday because it was breaking through the 52-week high, right? I mean, we tried it, it went, and then it stopped, and that was it. And it basically justified that move again today by stopping one more time. So there it was right there, 1055, 1056, whatever it was today, 1061 or whatever that high is there. That's going to be the next thing to look at. So, you know, I don't think you do anything with SoFi other than sell it right now, and then maybe get back in if it breaks above 1060 again. So just a huge run, well away from the 200 period, well away from the 50 period. Not even like the last time, we talked about this yesterday, the last time it was up here, we did this. So right now we're up here again, and I would not be surprised if we did this. So again, I don't know the news was Biden there. I don't know what the change of presidency or which side of the aisle is going to make the decisions with SoFi and what that means exactly. But for me, you know, I don't think Trump would all about loan forgiveness, but I'm not sure. I know he's declared bankruptcy a couple times. 985 to me, $10, I feel like is maybe where SoFi is going today, and that wouldn't surprise me. We had that as a dip buy level yesterday. We'll figure out what happens today.
Tesla reports tonight after the bell. We're expecting that report at around 4:10. Make sure to be with us in the market recap show with Neil tonight, as Tesla is slated to report down about 2 2/3% right now. Ming Chi Kuo also chiming in on Tesla. It wasn't just Apple today. Here's the result of his survey of predictions that he put to market participants. The more affordable new model, which we sometimes call the Model 2, not expected to get into production until the second half of 2025. Additionally, the Juniper, the Model Y refresh. We already got the Model 3 refresh. Now we're looking for the Model Y, looking to start mass production in Q1 of 2025. All this is speculative, of course, as I mentioned on the How to Trade Midday show, speaking to Randy, and there's big questions right now as to what factory, what gigafactory would be able to produce the Model 2 en masse, guys.
Tesla's bleeding today. So there was one incorrect statement this morning about, well, at least for myself, was that I was expecting it to be an inside day. And what I meant by that, we'll get to the one trade in a second. was 214 was the previous low, 220, I mean 222 technically was this range high. I thought maybe 220 was going to be a bit of a lower high. I figured we'd just stay inside of that range. Shorts would end up at 214, but 214 was pretty much nothing. This is what happened when it got to that 214 level. No bounce, do not pass go. It actually trended lower. Then there was the headline that Sharif just went over it there, capitulation candle, the biggest volume candle since, I don't know, before 1030. There was a couple in there at the open that were bigger. You had this reversal candle. So I went into a higher low long on Tesla. Now, this is where execution matters. And there was what I think is a stupid mistake, which is adding, you shouldn't add on the way up in a situation like that. That's what I'll get at. There's nothing wrong with averaging up because it's going in the money. That makes sense if it's trending higher. I think it's a much better plan of action if the stock is making higher highs and higher lows. If you got a capitulation bottom and you get in on the next wick, like this higher low, it's leave it at that. Because that ad right there is why I'm flat on Tesla instead of up on Tesla. You just only take that trade, right? Then it's profit in there and then break even on that. So again, if it's higher lows and higher highs, averaging up I think makes a heck of a lot more sense there in Tesla. Be flat on it, looking for that reversal. I don't necessarily love a bottom pick down here without any key levels. And for aftermarket, we'll obviously have to wait and see what they give us at 410. We'll see how the deliveries have gone. We'll see how those margins are doing. But until then, unless it has some kind of a distinct break of trend here, I think you back off Tesla. And that 14 might even turn into a resistance, the key support from before.
Damn, Bitcoin, what are you even doing right now? All right, so there it goes, man, falling down, down, down. I mean, there's that 38 call that we had earlier, and boom, down there to the downside. So it is continuously bleeding to the downside right now. I'm just going to go over Bitcoin because Neil just talked about Tesla for a minute, so there's really not much more to cover. All right, so whoopsies, we do not need a free trial. Come on, TradingView. I mean, you guys should be a free trial. Okay, there it comes down here, 65.5. There's the bleed, baby. This is exactly what we talked about. We talked about 68,000 earlier on today. It is starting to go to the downside. Bitcoin right now has lost it. We're short. We like this. We talked about why we were short earlier, and it is continuing to work down. I mean, 50-period moving average be damned. If we call up a 1-minute chart on this thing, you'll see, here we go, man, everything pointing down. We're short up here. Well, we're short up here. Continuous movement to the downside for BTC now at the lows. So, I mean, I don't know. We are feeling bearish today. This setup, we put it on, and the rest is history as the money comes in on the short. I mean, I own Bitcoin. It's maybe 0.5% of my total holdings, maybe not even that much. But at the same time, I would really appreciate it going up. So looking to get longer here on Bitcoin, but my areas are 54 to 58. So we still have a while to go before we get into that. I mean, it's similar. Look, I mean, to say that Bitcoin's going to go down to $54,000, that is nothing. That is you want to talk about things going down. You just said ARM. Someone said the ARM was down 8% today. So if you lose 8% from here on Bitcoin, that's 65. Drop down another 6,000, then you're right into my $58,000 marker again, right? So you still have a lot of movement to come down here on crypto. There's a very, very far way on this. Imagine NVIDIA, we say, oh man, what if NVIDIA loses 10%? If Bitcoin loses 10%, that's your 58,000, right? NVIDIA might be losing 10% today plus tomorrow might be 10%. So, I mean, to talk about how crypto is risky and it's this and it's that, it ain't no more riskier than NVIDIA or any of these other names. So just be very, very careful with any time you hit the buy button or the sell button and you enter into any of these markets, maybe other than gold. As long as you hit buying gold, you'll probably be fine. All right, there goes NVIDIA, there goes Tesla. We'll talk about DJT next, Sharif.
Day, another green day for DJT, up 3 1/3, was up higher at the highs. It really didn't do a whole lot during the day, kind of gapped up and then continued to trade in a range. Today, they did announce that Trump Media is releasing Truth Social streaming on the Amazon Fire TV platform. Nothing really that we didn't know already. But guys, I'll tell you a little anecdote. Yesterday, I was at the gym, and there was like a group of high school kids, all who were talking about trading DJT in their accounts. It's really been gamified, I guess. Is that a word?
Telling us that all these kids are way smarter than us. Yeah, look, I mean...
Long weeks ago.
DJT, I mean, just go long yesterday. I mean, as long as they're long yesterday, they winning. Right there, up 3.5%. There goes DJT. I mean, it continues to climb higher. I think it's fool's gold to go short this. I would just stay long until after the election and then see what happens after that. I mean, again, if you're long, you still want to have outs. I don't mean stay long. I just don't think the short is the right call here, and I don't think it's been right for a very, very long time. You're going to catch some of these dips, fine, but at the end of the day, ain't no one around here making any money on DJT, and it's honestly, I made money the other day going long and then getting out before this happened. I just think as long as you go into the long and you have some stops, you'll be fine. And right now, 34.50 right there is a good stop for DJT. If you're long right now, that's about $1 to the downside. But I mean, I always keep calling up the same thing here. This is going to be an event-driven stock, right? I mean, we already know, whoopsies, we already know that. So let's just go here, refresh, and we're still at these same numbers. So let's just figure out what we're doing, and until this dramatically changes, they just got launched on Amazon Prime, or maybe Amazon Podcast. I don't know, but they just got an Amazon platform. Yeah. They're there. They got Apple TV yesterday for the app. Things are moving in the right direction for DJT. The problem, of course, is the underlying business, which I'm not sure is one.
Well, it's like fundamentally the amount of revenue relative to how much the valuation, it's a bit out of whack. That said, you know, like, look, if the kids are wanting to trade it now, wait till you see what happens on election night, how much it's going to swing around. But that's a couple of weeks away, obviously. Look, DGT's up 3.5%. Funware is up like 15 or 13 or something along those lines. But the same plan as yesterday. Just watching DJT when it tried to take out that high. Now, I was looking for a breakout on DJT, but it failed the breakout. The difference is I wasn't just going to punch the high of the day on the DJT break. I wanted to see it actually continue through. But when it failed the high, that was right in here just after 10 o'clock. It was the same thing as yesterday. Failed high break. You don't make a fresh high on Funware at the same moment when DJT is failing the high. Funware is losing its test of the pre-market highs. It was basically just one short trade when I saw DGT lose the bid at that high of the day. Just jumped into it. It broke trend, got out. I did have one off 13. I'm like, I do not need to be doing that. And then in less than the day, I was like, yeah, when we have new tools, make sure you get it right. Okay, so at one last time, I had the accidental reverse long. One last time, but it hasn't happened since. I got out of that flat. Obviously, that's like the second time today with the accidental reverse long where it would have worked out if I'd held on to it. But no, and I think as long as this is happening on DJT, I'm not interested in shorting DJT. I'm interested in watching DJT make a move down that I can see clearly happen. And then if there's a trade over on a sympathy name like a Funware, maybe a Rumble, then just taking that trade based on that reason. So until that stops working, it was like BlackBerry and GameStop.
Last on the list is Amazon, and much like the rest of the Mag 7, it is bleeding right now, about 3% in the negative. There was this interesting headline from today, though. So we've all seen the success of Temu and Shein, especially with lower priced goods. It looks like Amazon wants to take them on. They're launching a low price storefront that's going to ship products out of Guangdong, China, and they're putting strict price limits on their merchants for specific items. For example, $8 cap for jewelry, $8 cap, I believe, yeah, for jewelry, $13 for guitars, and $20 cap for a sofa, guys. Would you buy a $20 sofa?
My daughter has a fantastic.
I prefer $18.
No, she's got this great dollhouse, and actually, you know what's crazy about that? You probably can't even get like the sofas and furniture for those dollhouses. You can't even get that for $20. It's actually, we
have so much, I should tell you, I should bring this stuff in. I have so much dollhouse stuff, dude. And it's all like super high quality.
Actually, you know what? What I should do is I want to make.
I'll tell you the make of it. I can ask Marissa.
No. What we should do is my daughter gets a bunch of money from from my godmother in Florida. She's always sending her stuff every single year. I want her to have to like come up, like negotiate, and I want her to have to buy some stuff with the money she gets.
I can send out a price list.
The whole point is that you don't. I know you're not going to really.
No, but she has.
but I think
this is a bigger dollhouse. It's like one that has. It's for the. Her dollhouse is for the bigger dolls.
No, but Erin's is like. So the dollhouse is like this tall,
Where,
2 stories.
no,
her.
I'm talking about off the ground. This.
No, it's this tall off the ground, and it's like.
Oh, okay.
It's
so I think
big.
it's the same. Okay.
My wife's grandfather handmade it for my wife, like when she was a kid, and she gave it to Erin. It sits in her room. It's fantastic, but. Yeah, like I would make sense. Like I wanted to learn to be able to, because when you go to a store, you buy stuff, whatever it's listed there. You don't get the idea to be like, okay, what do you think it's worth? How much do I have? That kind of a thing. And I wanted to learn that negotiation part. So we'll talk about that later. Amazon here.
Yeah.
I don't want to say sucks, but it's down 3%. Not much looks good here. So I don't want to sound like a broken record, but if you're trying to catch bids, like what are we hoping it gets to the 50 period and bounces there on the daily? I think these are more interesting levels if you're looking for maybe some swing bounces on something like an Amazon, or maybe if you're looking to get into the stock, if you're not into the stock, the 50 period, the 200 period looks like we might come into play here in the next day or two. 50's at 183. That's $1 away. You're only $4 away here on Amazon. If we come to my daily chart for a second there, Ramin. We're only like $1 away here from, it's just a line in the chart, but the support was down at 180 and the 200 period's down at 180. I'd be more inclined to think this is the spot to wait for on Amazon. Not today, just talking in a general sense, because if you're looking at it, we just broke local support and are consolidating underneath it. Like, why would you look for anything? Unless we're getting right back above here and showing recovery above 184, 185, like, it's still trend down, and that 180 would be the only place that's very interesting to me. I like Amazon. I would, I've recently enough bought it that I'm probably not going to buy it down there. But the 180 level would be where I was looking if I wasn't into the stock.
It's for the 12-inch dolls. 12-inch Barbie dolls.
Those might be a little.
Ours is 4 feet tall.
Okay, that's bigger.
That's what you said from the ground. I mean, that's from the ground.
No, but like one story is probably 1.5 feet.
Yeah.
So it's
where your hand is now is 4 feet from the ground.
It'll be a little bit tighter. No, but the furniture we have is a little bit smaller. Like the furniture was made for the house. Well, we'll talk about it.
You said it's 4 foot tall. It's standard size doll, 3-story dollhouse. My wife is on top of all of this.
He knows.
We're done.
Yeah, we're done.
Hey. All right. That's all good. Whatever Ramin decides.
I don't want to ignore.
I'm down with that.
I don't want to ignore the super chat that we got here.
Oh, there was a super chat.
Yeah, it was, and oddly enough, it came in as you were talking about Bitcoin, and that's my bad, because as you were saying, and I'm like, we got to get to this because while we're talking about BTC, in a general sense, because it's about Mara. Should I get into Mara today for a long? At Neil, hit the like. I mean, probably not. I mean, everything's bleeding today. It's a settle down kind of day. Is Mara at $13, 14? No, like Mara's at 17, down 8%. The support on Mara has been down here, like in the lower teens, 13 to 15. Most of it's been at 15. Like when it gets down to 13, it's not hanging out there very long. So when we say, like, to me, a support level is where you get a consolidation. You know, it actually will hold down there even in the midst of pressure and selling. It's got a bottom at 13 even, but your chances to get that lasted essentially one day. The 50 period, let's see if it can hold that. What didn't happen again on Mara was a lack of a breakout of that 200 period moving average. Like that's what'll excite me, because it's a bit of a squeeze play. So if Bitcoin catches a bid, I mean, let's see where it ends up doing so. That there's many levels to the downside. If you're wanting to buy Mara now, you're pretty much hoping that you're going to catch a bid on BTC in the near term, like the 64 level, and not down at like 58. So if we can catch a bid at 64, then I think your 50 period is going to look good, but you got to watch out what's going on in your Bitcoin. Like, we're in this pullback after failing the high on the daily. I don't think it's the time to rush in to be buying the dip. Each time this has hit the top of the trend line, it's made a lower low. Every single time it has tested this top of the trend line, there's your low, retest the trend line, lower low, retest the trend line. Now, this is the bullish time. I shouldn't say every time, because this time it did and tried to break out, failed to break, lower low, retest. maybe it's going to do one of these again. This is the more bullish of it, if it makes the higher low and then can actually break out the prior high. That's what you're looking for if you're bullish, but we have yet to form a base. And if we haven't made a base on BTC, I don't think you want to be just standing on a bit of a minor at this point. I can't imagine any of them look very good today.
Oh, man. Yeah, someone said, let's go to the moon with Solana. Let's just check out what is, whoa, almost closed it. Got some, I was listening to some Cardi B in my ear right now. Okay, here we go. Cryptocurrencies right here. All right, so someone said, take me to the moon or take me to heaven, Solana. So let's find out where Solana is exactly. 166 and change. Nice move. I mean, it's been the best, I feel like, over the last week. Ethereum continues to get hammered there. Of course, as you talked about it with your physiotherapy. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was barber, cab driver, or physio. But right there, Ethereum getting the brunt of it right now, down 5%. So out of all the big ones, I mean, Ripple continues to, I guess, have issues with, I think it's jurisdiction. Okay, that's staked Ether, so that's fine. Bitcoin, what else has been really, really moving? Dogecoin had a day behind it a little while ago. Yeah, so it's only up 6%. It was up 20x% at one point.
Tron.
So yeah, Tron was there as well. Link chain, Chainlink, there it is. That was actually down pretty good. They're down to 11.11 right now. Make a wish, 11.11 right there for Chainlink. But yeah,
they should call it chain wax.
Yeah, they should get it off the chain wax. But right there, we only have a small piece left. Maybe getting out of the rest there on IBIT. Look, we just had a sense today, and I don't know what was going on with it, but we had a sense that the market was maybe upside down a little bit there off the open. You know, we had a good little gap fill right there, and that's what gave me the idea for the short. And so whenever I have an idea, we write it down, and you can all get it for free at tradertv.live and at tradertv Sean there on Instagram and on Twitter. You know, maybe I should start truthing those out. And go on DJT and truth these things out to everybody. I don't actually think that we can get the app here. I don't think in Canada, but maybe we can. Anyways, a little bit of barcoding action right now on DJT. I'm still looking at that 36. I mean, how clean has that been? Right there, 36 top. So I think if you're into DJT now and you're just maybe joining us for the first time and you are one of those kids or whoever that Sharif was talking to at the gym, that one there, downside push there. I'm always wondering, like, I should have asked that to Sharif when he was here, like, maybe do they recognize, like, maybe they, I don't know, like, does he ever say to them that he trades for a living or something like that when they're talking about crypto? I don't know. Some people are interested in that, just to hear that. Yeah. I mean,
I tell my guy every single time he asks, I'm like, you know more about crypto than I do. My physiotherapist guy knows more about crypto than I do. I'll be the first person to admit it. And when we talk about like investing, I just like the things I say to him are Nvidia and Qs and like that's where I'm coming from. And then he's the one telling me about it's Toncoin and
yeah. I don't know.
Whatever. He's into Shibu and all that kind of stuff. And he loves Solana though. And
don't they all?
Like everyone loves Solana. That's the one because it's.
Yet nobody even knows what it is. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, the thing is, we're just throwing money. Like, we sit here and think like,
Breter fool theory.
Oh, you know, like, we want to do this, we want to do that. I mean, here, how about some tulips while you're at it? I mean, it's just like, you got to understand what's going on with these before you start investing in them. You want to make sure that there's projects that are being built on there. You want to know why you're in Solana as opposed to Ethereum. They're both chains, and they're both, you have to make sure that smart contracts, not blockchain, and you got to just make sure that you understand what's happening with them, as I clearly do not. So yeah, stick with someone that knows what they're doing and get the right advice. As you were saying, it's better to talk to somebody that knows specifically what they're talking about if you're going to make a big investment.
Exactly, and that's sort of the key thing. I had this. My barber was always asking me, and it was always about altcoins and ones that I had never even heard of. And one time I tried to look it up. I couldn't find anything except for like this one Reddit page trash talking like the creators for running multiple scams. Mm-hmm. And that was the only thing I could find on it. And I just simply said, hey man, like this is the only thing I could find on this. You like hopefully you didn't invest a lot. And he's like, well, this guy told me this. I'm like, guy? Well, like what guy? How do you know him? He's like, online. I was just like, no, man.
His
like,
boy.
No. Like that's where you got to get. You got to be a little bit more careful because everyone. It's a little bit easier. Like owning Apple, like you're not going to get scammed in that. Like there's look, man, there's going to be reports and upgrades and downgrades, but that's not the same thing as running some kind of a Ponzi scheme or a scam. And so you want to make sure that you're smart with your money, as we always want to be. This market's catching a little bit of a bid here. Okay, the market's not catching a bit of a bid. Tesla's catching a little bit of a bid. I'm looking up and I see Tesla, and then I looked over and I'm like, the NASDAQ is still 1.9% to the downside, but this just happened in Tesla right back into that 214 level. So 214 was that prior low. Now it looks like it's turning into resistance. I just threw a trail in after that little bit of a bounce on this local bottom here. So opening range on Enphase support, turning into resistance. If it breaks that out, I'm getting out of it for now. Enphase, it's short sell restricted, so every single bounce is a potential SSR bounce at this particular point. So just be careful with that. Little bounce here in the market coming in. I was looking over, like, what do I like for some strength in here that we would take long? And like you said, DJT, like DJT is, it's above VWAP. It just took that 36 level. It's got squeeze potential. If the market rolls back down, you don't have to worry about fighting the market. If the market decides it wants to continue trend, yeah, like a consolidation off VWAP on DJT doesn't look so bad right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for some more opportunities here. We had lost today, and it's actually a good thing that, not a good thing that lose on Starbucks today, but that was another one of these names that I was looking at today based on, again, they came out and pre-reported yesterday, and it was not received very well, and it was downside, and we were talking about it live on the recap show, and that's when I was like, I don't know, I didn't think it was that bad, but I guess we were right, or I guess we were right about that. We're wrong about being short. So I tried to fade this play back into where we were yesterday, into 96. Those of you that were watching know that we had this trade. We had a couple times. We're actually in the money there, got out. We're about flat on it. Then we tried one more time right here into the short once we thought the 50 period was going to be our guide. But instead, the 50 period really hasn't. I mean, it's been okay. It was really choppy in the midday, choppy in there again, went on a run, now is on another run. But the thing about Starbucks is right now, maybe I can just zoom in a little bit here. Actually, I meant to go the other way. You are at this top right here, so maybe there is something to talk about with Starbucks right here. So that's 97 basically as a top here for SBUX. But market weak, market might rally back. If it does, you really want to be short Starbucks. It's already bounced off the 200, bounced off VWAP, and bounced, not bounced off, but is above the 50-period moving average. So like it, but this would just be a resistance play. It's definitely not a momentum play and not like a 3-star. I was going to say, this is not like a, what do they call those can't miss prospects out of the NFL? Like my stupid boy Marvin Harrison Jr.? What is he, a 5-star recruit or what? That guy was like a 5.5-star recruit.
If he's that bad.
Come on, man.
If you don't think he's that good, he'd be very welcome in my
Yeah, he'd be very welcome on a lot of people's teams.
Sports.
Come on, man.
Very welcome.
Come on, Kyler Murray. Sports.
So you have to
start hitting those guys, man. Stop relying on James Conner.
So here's the thing. I'll give you an analogy that you'll never trade Marvin Harrison Jr. once you realize the analogy. Remember NVIDIA at $12?
Yeah.
That's Marvin Harrison Jr. It's like you got to bet on.
I need to find somebody else. I need to find like an undercover Marvin Harrison.
Kyler's not playing well, but the underlying talent is so stratospheric that once what's around him gets better, he's going to go to the moon. It's like once the circumstances get better and NVIDIA grows, it's going to go to the moon. Like that's where Marvin Harrison's at.
And Marvin Harrison Sr., if you don't agree, will probably just wind up shooting you or something like that. Wasn't his dad was involved in some pretty hard game? You know, I started watching the Penguin.
I forget what town it is.
Yeah.
He basically like runs like a neighborhood, like he's the dude,
guy.
like Nino Brown up.
Yes.
Okay, you guys don't know Nino Brown, like Marlowe, that's The Wire.
Like the Penguin.
Yeah, well, anybody, like, just think of a gangster.
Have you started to watch the Penguin?
Although if I say that, I haven't seen the Penguin. Is that good?
Very good. Colin Farrell, probably one of the best shows I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, but where can I actually watch it?
Crave. It's HBO Max.
I don't have Crave, man.
Fabian, I got this, my guy.
They probably have a free promotion.
HBO Max.
Is it all out now? Like if I...
I mean, someone's probably got a gangster on YouTube. I don't know. What do you mean all out?
No, what I mean is
no, I think it redoes every... So I don't know. We're only in season 3.
Okay, I want to wait.
Or sorry, episode 3. It's season 1, but episode 3. So I don't know how many... I think HBO releases things every week, right? Like Game of Thrones and stuff like that, weren't they? It's serialized? That's what it's called? Okay.
Next time I can get Crave for free,
it's not binge-worthy.
I'm gonna do one of those like 1 month free things.
Do it.
And then bam,
You make enough money, man. Just subscribe to Crave. I think it's like $10 a month.
I'm paying for Apple TV. It's principle.
I'm paying for all
Principle
four.
is priceless. And there's nothing on Crave that I want to watch outside of now.
Crave is the best one, actually.
What else do I want to watch on Crave?
Everything. Yeah, it has HBO.
I've seen The Office. I've seen The Wire already.
It has The Wire. It has movies. It has everything.
No,
Sopranos. But you've seen all those. But.
You know what? There's one. I've only seen The Sopranos once, and when I was healthy, when I would work out, I would have a workout show, something that I've already seen, so that it wouldn't take focus off. But I look forward to working out because I get to watch it, and I feel like Sopranos, watching it the second time, could be my workout show when I'm back on my feet better.
Spider-Man 4 is going to be filming.
We're making steps, baby. I got the cane now instead of a crutch. I'm walking a little bit
all
better.
about the cane. And plus the cane is good because it's also a weapon. All right, so I was just going to say...
I like this DJ.
There's first of all, there's a Spider-Man 3. All right. Second point is Tom Holland. Is that an actor? I think that's the guy who plays Spider-Man, right? Confirms that Spider-Man 4 is going to be filming now for summer of 2025. Summer of 25. Ramin loves Spider-Man, apparently. Yeah, I didn't even know Spider-Man was still a thing. I thought it ended when what's-his-name was upside down, Tobey Maguire there, and kissed whatever her name was. I thought that was the end of it. What was her name?
Claire Danes. Oh, I get them mixed up. I mix up Claire Danes and Kristen Dunst.
Scene.
Kirsten Dunst.
Oh, Kirsten. Oh, man.
It's not Kirsten.
Emma Watson?
Kristen.
I know Emma Watson. Was she Spider-Man as well?
No, she's Gwen Stacy. Even I know that.
I have not watched it. Okay,
Emma Stone. What did I say? I said Emma Watson.
We have so much stuff in our...
How you get it all in my ear? I'm supposed to remember Emma Watson, Emma Stone. Like, what do I look like, man? We're just here trying to get some DWAC to bounce off VWAP, and I'm supposed to remember Hollywood actors and stuff that I've only seen them in a couple of things.
I told you I thought it ended at Tobey Maguire, so I tapped out a long time ago out of that. Oh, we did watch, talk about subscribing to absolutely all of the platforms. Hey, it's me. We watched Agatha yesterday, so we're at episode 4 or 5 of that one. My son loves that Agatha, whatever it is, Agatha something. All Day Agatha or something. That was a...
Go Long Disney.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Actually, you know what?
Everyone thinks... Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
Actually, no. I said it as a joke when you said Agatha, Go Long Disney. There was a point, I think Kling Daddy made this point with regards to Tesla. And what he was saying was, and I know I was guilty of this, I was like, okay, Tesla earnings today, expecting an inside day, probably don't trade it. And he was like, you got to be careful saying stuff like that to traders because it might get interpreted as go automatic long at the bottom of the range or go automatic short at the top of the range. So as a clarification, I think me being more precise did say I'm not trading Tesla today unless it shows me, but obviously shorting 222, you're not going to get that, or 220. No, but it has to set up some kind of a long trade, right? So when we say I expect an inside day, usually that just means I don't want to trade it because I don't think it's going to do something special. Now, obviously it did to the short side, but I think that's more of a function of what the market did today and then some news late. And it set up one trade for me, but this is what I mean by a setup. This candle is worth taking a shot most times when you get this kind of a bottoming tail candle. Now, as I said, you get a bottoming tail candle. It made a higher low. I had no business needing to add to the position on the way up. It was kind of silly. And then when it retested the bottom, I felt even sillier because then now, instead of that just being clean, 60, 70 cents profit, no, now my average price is in here because that's what I've done to myself, and that's a smaller profit. And then under here, instead of being break even, is slight losses, and then you're flat on the stock when if you just take one entry point on a downward trending stock, you get yourself a win. But Tesla's holding a higher low as we speak, so still breaking upside. DJT is starting to pick up steam again, so it's confirming above VWAP in here. There's the retake of 36. It hasn't yet retaken the high, so I want to see it hold up here. It didn't really bounce off VWAP, but DJT is starting to go again. If it fails the high of the day, I'm not going to short DJT. I will quickly go over to Funware instead. But DJT off this 35.90, it looks like the local support. See if I can get picked up in front of 35.90. On 5% to the upside, it's challenging highs when the market's just trying to get off the lows.
Right now, shares of Peloton see volume as traders circulate unconfirmed rumors with Greenlight Capital's David Einhorn thinks the
Sure,
stock...
it's not Finkel?
David Finkel? Could be worth $31 per share. Oh, God, man, we got some young gravy in our ear now.
$31.
Okay. So, yeah, $31 for Peloton. So if you think it's also worth $31, then you may be able to get this at a great, great value price right now of just $6. So that could be something for anybody interested in Mr. David Einhorn's opinion, because he's throwing around a dollar value that has a 3 handle in front of it with 2 digits, not 1 digit like you may have thought. So we'll wait to see what happens here with Peloton. Nice little spike up there. Obviously some nice volume. I'm not sure where this is. This says, it's just from our Benzinga Pro account here. And it says right here, last story there, shares of Peloton see volume as traders circulate unconfirmed. Unconfirmed. All right, so PayPal expands partnerships with global payments, fast lane checkouts to boost e-commerce. So I was actually going to look at PayPal, and I thought it just went on a nice little run and thought about fading it with the market move here for PayPal. So let me just adjust this. That's Starbucks, PYPL right there, and we'll see it. So it just made a nice run up to the 200 period moving average. PayPal right there, and now it's trying to go through it. So obviously alert, alert, alert as we wait to see what's going on with PayPal. Nice move off that bottom, $80 up to 81. Still underneath that view up, which is 81. Debating this short right now. Never really like to talk about it when it's doing this, because you like to see it stop at view up at least, because if you shorted the 200 period with this kind of movement, not great. What I like for the 200 period, and I was looking at this earlier, missed the trade with Apple. So if you're going to look back, was it Apple? Okay, maybe it was Apple, and it was just... Basically, when you're seeing names like this, I don't think it was Apple, but when you're hovering around tops like this, you know, that's when you're waiting for something to break. Now, either to the top side and break out, or break back down below. So in this situation, you know, right into here, once we start to break below, then you can use the 200 period, the 50, and this situation, VWAP, they all just lined up and then gave you this sort of move down. So there's the consolidation, there's the break below, and then you see all these retests, like since then, it hasn't come anywhere near retesting since then, but it's sort of that action that you're looking for. So that's what I try to find when I'm looking for stocks. And you know, maybe it was AMD. I can't, yeah, it was AMD actually. Yeah, that is what it was. So I'm short AMD. I have less than 2% left of this trade, but you see right here, it was AMD. So let me zoom in for this. So this is like where the 200 period, in my opinion, on the 1 minute is something, because it just kept on testing. Then eventually, if you believe in the short, which I did, man, I missed this short at 153.50 by 4 cents, and then again by 8 cents after that. And then boom to the drop down. So that's kind of what you're looking for. And you can see it kept on sort of holding it and then dropping off as well. But pretty choppy day overall. I was pretty mad at AMD when this was happening, because it wasn't happening fast enough for me. And then all of a sudden it blew up to the downside. So right now, another retest at VWAP. This is probably worth taking right now. Let's reload this. 152.20. Let's take this right now on AMD. I mean, what are we looking like here? Why does that still say Apple? All right, there we go. All right, so fine. So here, the 50 period moving average also on the 5 minute is 152, so that's fine. We like that. This is a 20-minute chart, still making moves down. That shows 153 and change. What price are we at exactly? 152.08. Okay, I think we can go short here against this VWAP then. 152.20. Let's just take an early position right here. And all I'm trying to do is let's punch lower so I don't miss it. So we'll take about 15%. I just took 5% there. I'm also waiting a little bit higher for another fill right here at 09. All right, so now we have about 10% of the reload. So we'll see what this wants to do. Give AMD a little bit of room. Nice move to the upside. Peloton's going again, by the way, right now. Let's go over to Peloton quickly. I'm just hearing in my ear that we're going on. There it goes. We just made another move. We were just talking about this at 610 or so. Again, it's still in the pocket. If you want the long, it's still here. It's not like it's broken away from 6. But looking on the daily chart for Peloton, we were just here 3 days or 4 days ago and faded off of that as well. So sometimes I wonder, like David Einhorn and some of these guys, like what do they know? How many shares have they accumulated at certain levels? Why would they be tweeting some of stuff like out like this? But right into there, 620, it goes all the way back to the beginning of the year. So this has been an issue for a minute here on Peloton. So we'll see about this level. I'd like to see it get above 7, and then I think we can green light capital it.
Yeah, I'm curious. Usually, if you say a number like 30, you better have some. Like, what are you backing that up with? Where's the in-depth analysis that tells you it's worth $30 when it's at 6?
31 specifically. Oh, remember?
That's my bad.
Yeah.
They Reggie Millered that one at the 31. But it might be a better runner this afternoon than DJT. We'll see. And I'll get to DJT in a second. 18% short float, 4.5 days to cover. Yeah, because you're at resistance, like Sean said, if you maybe wait for, like it's bounced twice off $6. So if it loses 6, you got VWAP, but maybe a consolidation long. It just feels, that's such a weird out-of-pocket number, I think. So a little bit of a pullback here in DJT. I just got some in front of 36. I had to stop underneath the prior bar high. I'd like to see it still, I think it's still in that downward phase. You got a red candle in the dip buy. Maybe you want to wait for it to show some strength off this level. If it ends up breaking out the top, I want to have gotten back in around 36 to 36.20, but I want to see it go green a bit before getting more into the long side of it. We said Tesla was starting to go a little bit here, but still rejecting this 214 heavily, I should say, that 214 level. And it's really just support to resistance here on Tesla. So there's 214. I kind of zoomed out too far there, but you get the idea. Double bottom at 214 on Tesla, and you're getting a bit of a bottoming tail. If it confirms this consolidation under, look for like a cheeky short on Tesla. I'll keep Peloton up just in case. I mean, if DJT's not going to go, maybe you can get one of these, something like a Peloton that'll get to the upside and start breaking away.
All right. So we're just, I'm trying to be very, very specific here with what we're trading. AMD. So we're right here right now. I'm going to give this to 152.50. I don't even want to mess around with it. I mean, that's a very, very aggressive move back up there to the upside. So just if you're following along at home, I will be shorting more I'll be putting on the full position that I'm willing to hold, which is probably about half of like a normal position for me. I'm not super confident. It's not like a big time setup or anything like that. It's just I like retracements back to VWAP. So especially late in day, we'll see if it just wants to carry forward. The only thing is, this is why it's not the greatest setup. Like you just like that's 20,000. We were just at 20,500, man. 20,600 actually yesterday at the peak. And then there's a 600 point move down. I mean, that's not nothing right there. I mean, and it's been led by Apple, which is a little bit of a concern because Apple, if it goes, the market will obviously follow with it. And then you also get another big name that's heading to the downside today in NVIDIA. We saw Microsoft up yesterday. I'm not sure what it's doing today. We'll have to double check it. But I'm shooting it's down. But I don't know if it's more than the market. But right now, the NASDAQ right there, nice bounce and a great little wick bottom there at 20,080. So we'll see if it can bounce back up. I would think that a bouncing spot would be almost all the way back up to 250 here. So I think like we could still go another 50 or 60 handles back into this general area, which is close to where we have, this is just a daily, this is a 30-minute VWAP, but it's not the same as all the rest. So I have to figure out what's going on with that. But I'm looking at this shelf break. That's 20,300, and right here is 20,280. So that would give us 100 more handles, maybe until we stop. But right now, it's a nice little bounce spot coming through for us right there. So, all right, look what we just did. I love coming back to this, man, and just being like, okay, we might have it. Now, we did not have any bids down there at VWAP, but we just shorted up there. We talked about shorting 35s, so we put on a bigger position. You can see our average price now is 28, so we'll take it out there at 22. Now we're falling back in a little bit here for AMD. This is why, man, this is why I stick with what we all do. We stick with very specific spots and names, especially late in the day when stocks will start to do their own thing, and it's like, what have I done? So we'll stay with AMD right now, trying to play that short. That was a good one. We talked about that order. We had it there. It's sitting there. It's AMD. It's your number one P&L stock today.
AMD has been languishing in the depths of hell recently. But what's interesting, there was one thing I knew I wanted to mention on the chips, and then you just mentioned it, relative strength and weakness. If you look at that AMD chart, there was a name which was, I guess, and still is relatively strong, that's actually green in the chip space. TSM is up 0.4%. And they had that story about with Huawei and the chips and whatnot. But this is one worth watching. If TSM loses support here, I think the chips are doomed. Like, this was carrying a lot of heavy weight this morning for the chips. And you can see just how strong it was, getting back above $200. Watch out for that. If we lose the bid here, I think it gets a little bit nasty over there. For any chip name, like TSM, like I said, it's still green on the day. Like, show me a chip name that's green. Well, I mean, I just showed you the only one that is. So that's kind of an empty, yeah, it's an empty challenge. There isn't one. It's just TSM. No, but if it loses a bit, I'd watch out there because it's the one that's relatively strong. So DJT trying to get back up and break back into the highs. Now the high of the day, it's not an all-time high. I'm not even sure it's a 52-week high. It's a local high here at about 36.70 or so. If it gets into that, I think it's obvious resistance. And if it fails that high, I'm still 100%. I didn't even pay. I don't think I paid for locates on DJT. But if we fail that high, I want to see what Funware does and then maybe jump in short Funware. Funware is moving a little bit more, so when it drops, it just drops a little bit better on a percentage basis. Tesla's still not at 214, but it's getting close. Like, it's trying to get there. You're getting a little bit of a bounce in consolidation. Looks like resistance up here on Tesla. Still putting in some lower highs on the lower term there. You could probably draw yourself a trend line, but I'm looking at this 214, and I want it to get in there and give a short trade off of the 214. It's a level, not necessarily anything about VWAP or moving average. I want to trade it off of that 214 level. Yeah. Peloton's still not really doing much of anything, so it's kind of calmed down there. I think if it was going to break the high, it probably would have done so already. So a bit of a nothing burger over there with Peloton. For now, still aggressive, still has that short float. If it takes out the top, it's fully capable of going another 10% if it wants to. But if you're not breaking that high, you got to wait for it to make a base, which it hasn't done. So just waiting on Tesla here to try and get into 214. Not really offering until we get to the quarters on DJT. It's sitting at about 18, so we're in at 08s. I had 7s and 8s, and it's sitting at 36.18. I want it to get to the quarter mark till we get another out. And then Tesla, I don't want to short till it makes a run at this 214 level.
We actually, I mean, on this reload, we almost are like, we're not doubling our net or anything like that because we told you that we were only taking about half of the shares that we normally would in this sort of a situation. But, good move. Here we come in right now. I mean, we talked about gain. I mean, look where we're short. We're short 35s. It was 15 cents worth of a hit, right? We said we're going to get out at 50 if it breaks. That's where my stop order is. So right now, you're pushing 30 cents right now. So it's a 2-to-1 banger right here at the end of the day for all y'all. We'll get another piece out right here at 03s, and then just wait to see what happens. If we go to the downside, we've got it good right now, guys. So let's see if we can have this and sort of just see if we now have the top and see if we can get a squeeze to the downside right now. NASDAQ was just down 2.3, was it? Nice little bounce back there, now only down 1.87%, but we did it. I mean, let's just say it like it is. We did it. We sat here, we talked about AMD, we talked about focusing on the stock. I gave the price that I wanted. We talked about why we wanted AMD. We stick with our sticky note trade because AMD's on here as the short with SMCI. So that's what we're doing right now. We're reshorting AMD. And the other thing too is like, this is why I tell you like it's the P&L number one or this or that, is because like, if you're reading something right, it's worth going back into it. I mean, my biggest mistakes every single day, like literally every single day, and this is, I got to try to fix this, is going back to the well. Like Starbucks, I even said this when we were in this, and people were like, well, I made money long. And I was like, well, I think the long is right. And we were just shorting it against that 96. And then we got back into it and then wound up going red on the name because we tried that one last time. We kind of got saved there when we had that opinion and then stopped out. We should not have gotten back in right there. And now we're staying away from it. Remember, I was like, you know what? 97 might be a good short. And it was. It gave you down to 96.60. But then you're just like picking and choosing. So you got to be careful with what you're doing. I'm going to stay away from Starbucks. And that's just because it's lesson learned. And then AMD again. All right. We told you we had about half of our normal position. Well, right now I have about 30, no, a little bit less. Yeah, about 25 to 30% left of what we had as a maximum spot. So when we were able to get some out near O's there, and then especially at 10s, 12s, underneath VWAP, we took that opportunity. So that's it. We'll wait for AMD to come through again. Probably not a reload now. You never want to reload the same amount of shares, because then if it goes against you, then you sort of wash all of that. So it's good enough to be right once. It's hard enough to be right twice. So we'll wait to see here what happens with AMD and try to hold the rest of this, hopefully into the close, to be honest with you. We're just entering power hour right now. There's lots to go. So we're going to sit here and wait on AMD, hopefully with a continued move down. And Bitcoin has made its move back. It was down there at 65 and change. You can see with IBIT right now, nice move back. So we have about a couple percentage points left on this trade. We'll see what it does at VWAP, but right now that's going to be a good one. Downside there. Again, I liked it. I liked 38 gap, and it wound up filling nicely. So that was that. And then, I don't know, Enphase, Starbucks, McDonald's, you had a trade on earlier.
Oh, yeah, I got to get to McDonald's because you guys will absolutely, you'll be loving it when I got out of McDonald's to go do my Achilles, I almost said ankle exercise, Achilles exercise. But we just got to, DJT just broke the local high and got to 35s. So there's not much that was running above VWAP. And what's weird about it is I would argue, in some sense, the volume is picked up really well in both DJT and Funware equally this time. It's not like Funware is lagging or anything, but Funware is already at the top, and DJT is a good 40 cents away from the top. So Funware is leading this a little bit. I mean, it's up 24%, Funware. DJT is up 5%, so I guess it's leading in a general sense. But now I'm out of 2/3, and if we get back underneath 36, I'm outie on DJT. As a matter of fact, if we press one more high, I'd probably move that trail up. But you got one bounce. I think I was in early there. You wait for it to make the rounded bottom, get in 7s the first time, 8s the second time. We took 2/3 out on that push past the quarter mark in the 30s, like 31, 32, and 33. But watch what's going on here, relatively speaking. Like, look at Funware now. See that pullback in DJT? Well, Funware is still pressing off those highs. So suddenly Fun's stronger. And I don't necessarily love the fact that, hey, one might be working, but one's working a little bit better. So if you get like a 25, 30 cent move in DJT, I know it's a $30 stock, and Funware's move was 45 cents on a cheaper stock. Percentage-wise, it was a bigger move. But Fun seems like it's holding it a little bit better. I'm going to keep an eye on that. But I did have some trades, and I had multiple trades in McDonald's. It wasn't just one. I had 3 trades that should have been there. One that was that keystroke where I accidentally went long, which is hilarious when you look at it. No, but we had it early on McDonald's, looking for fades, initially off the 300 level, but when it failed the opening range high, it was essentially just a short back in. Once it held trend, that was an easy don't reload, because look how strong it's going to the upside. I just felt like the bounce on McDonald's today, at least, I shouldn't say today, because this is when I was looking at it last night. When I was at home last night after my daughter's, she had swimming last night. I'm like, okay, you know, she's getting ready for bed. I'm looking over some charts. I'm like, oh, McDonald's 200 period moving average, SSR bounce, down over, it could be down over 10%. That's the bounce I'm looking for. Once it was already back at 90, I was just thinking mean reversion trade. First here and then $300. So there's a mean revert, got in, stopped out. It held trend, got back in. This one made it back. This is where I trailed out under break even and still had a stop at the high. So that actually got me long. I got out of that long flat. Then there was another update on the E. coli thing. It dropped like $7. And I literally got up like right after that happened, came back to do like the lesson of the day. I'm like, oh, that was fun. McDonald's, what are you doing down there? And it's right back up top. This is where it's deceiving. McDonald's is down 5%. But if you're a trader, that's been a long. Pretty much all day long. So I end up being flat on McDonald's, mostly because I think I didn't time necessarily that second short all that well. But we'll see what happens from going on from here. There was some, yeah, we're mentioning DJT. I don't think this looks like a reload based on what I was telling you guys about DJT versus Funware, where DJT just pulled back into 36 and Funware is holding those highs. So I'll just hold on to the last third, looking for a break to give me 36.5. And then if it loses 36, like I said, I'm getting out. It can't turn into a loser, but only because I scalped out into that local high. Otherwise, it wouldn't matter. Ari Pages, how many screens do you use at your home office? My wife has a home office because she works from home 3 times a week for her job. I don't have a home office. If I'm looking, and I don't do a ridiculous amount of chart watching. Like, I'm not sitting there going over levels or anything. I've got my laptop. Sometimes I'll be lazy enough to go on my phone because I like to. If I'm going to do like a bunch of looking at levels and charts, I'll just do that in the morning when I get in early on my 4-monitor setup here. So I'll usually just be doing some stuff on the laptop. And it's more along the lines of something reported. I just want to have a look at it. There was the news on McDonald's. I had just had McDonald's last night with my daughter. It wasn't a quarter pounder. And I just wanted to see where is it going to be tomorrow. So I at that 280 level looked like it made sense. And that was obviously so important. Thinking it was going to be a big time flush. It ended up not doing so. So they seemed to like the reaction, or I should say the swift reaction that McDonald's was able to do. But Peloton, I just saw in the chat there, someone said Peloton making big boy moves, and that made me think it was breaking the high. It's not. Now, Peloton's still doing the exact same thing. Nothing doing on Peloton, unfortunately. So still just the same two, both in the money, but I haven't got an Enphase. DJT is the only new trade that I've been in, and Peloton doing nothing. It's not breaking the high. And there is the test of 214 on Tesla, so confirm resistance at that 214 now on Tesla. Wait for it to show it to you.
New trade alert. That's what's supposed to hit the new trade alert. All right, we're in Tesla with only an hour before earnings. Again, not going to be here for a long time. Well, maybe. If it breaks, we're out. 200 period, underneath view up, underneath 200 period, nice little run. Let's see if it tests the 50 period moving average right there. That would be, I mean, we're in it. We have enough shares that we could sort of test with this thing. We don't have a lot of shares because we're not going to do anything too crazy. But that's down there at 40. So let's see if we can get a quick little, I mean, if we could take 20 cents on a piece of it at the 50 period, just in case, and I think we should probably try to do that. If it breaks below here, 213.25, then I like that even better. I'm in this name until this breaks. It's going to have to break through 214. And then I was looking at, I mean, I put my stop in at 214.20-ish. So it's going to have to get into this area is what I was thinking. But again, it's only because I'm trying to give it a little bit of room from the break right there, right? Okay. Come on, Tesla, let's go. We'll see if we can get out of 20% of this one if it does fall in for 20 cents. And then we'll just let it ride. I mean, not expecting much from this trade, but if the futures do come down in, we know Tesla's down that 2%. It's been in a pretty bad space lately. As you can see, breaking now back down below. I was excited for this thing to break above 222 or 225, which is right here. But you've seen we've gone the other way. So there it is right now, breaking down through 215. We'll see if it wants to hold. We were at 245 there, 213.45, went as low as 48. Let's just sit there and wait for it. We don't have to change our bids. Like again, I heard Sharif say this, and I actually think that's probably pretty accurate there. The part of it is like, I don't want to change my out because I'm not changing my stop. So it's like, Sharif said something like, I'd rather get stopped out than get out now. And I think that there is part of that to be true. There's one thing about being stubborn, and I don't think that would be the case for what he was saying or what I'm trying to say here either. We have our out. It's going to be the 50 period. I mean, it keeps on rising for us. But let's just try to take 20 cents on 20% of it. If it falls out, then it falls out and we'll be fine. But if it continues to go up, we are getting more shares because we are not really at the 200 period moving average yet. So this right now, I'm looking at the math. I know what we have. We have about 20% of the position I'm looking to get if it comes up into the 200 period. I just want to start it in case it does go down. So we'll start it right now. We will get more. I am offering 85s right now. So if we can get something up there, we'll grab it and continue with the short process here on Tesla. That's a most recent trade. So that's a recent trade that we're in here. I see Neil's got DJT, and then we're also into AMD. So these are the two most recent names that we've been in. We have only 25% of our AMD trade left, and basically the full position still here on Tesla. Come on. 21. I mean, I'm listening right now to 21 Savage. Here we go to the downside right now. All right, Tesla. Now we're starting to get excited a little bit here. As we get a little bit lower, let's take another 5% or so if we can get something in the 30s. But there it goes. A nice little drop down for Tesla. Looking for more, right? I mean, we talked about this. We're bidding 35s. We're bidding 30. We were bidding 35s. We still are because we did not get hit. So let's go to the downside one more time and see if 35 will be coming through right there. Short Boeing. I don't know. I haven't looked at it. Right now we're in AMD, IBIT, and Tesla.
I thought Boeing was showing some signs of strength today, but I could be wrong about that.
Boeing?
That's almost 100% based on watching Boeing while the midday was on, and I think I saw Sharif pull it up, and I was like, ooh, that looked pretty good. But anything that's not the depths of hell is good for Boeing. Look, so I just got into Tesla. I want to show you the execution plan for myself, because I want to see confirmation of 214, because I want to play it off for the level. So it did a lower high, like this candle in here, that rejection. And then when it broke back down on the next candle, shorted the 50 level. Ideally, I would want to get the other half here at 60s and give it to that higher low. So I'm waiting in the 30s, this support, and then 213. But so that's my plan. I didn't actually get the rest of it at that 60 level, kind of top wick. But Boeing's not bad. Like you could do a heck of a lot worse than being above VWAP and at a local high. There was that news in the middle of the day, but actually, it was later in the morning. We were still on when it happened, 10:45. And then it's right back to those levels. So I'd call that a pretty solid recovery for Boeing as far as I'm concerned. Looking pretty good. Only down 1% when the market is down. Okay, it doesn't matter what the NASDAQ's down for Boeing. Okay, so it's the same thing as ES. You can't really call it relative strength. But it is challenging to hold back above that 50 period. This is what I'd love. I want to see Boeing hold a 50-period moving average, consolidate above, and then make a breakout. Rounded bottom, higher low, get above the 50 period, and then break out this 164 level, it looks like. Break that out after holding the 50, and I think Boeing's got some potential juice. Bad news all around, obviously, for them. Yeah, maybe they can hire Barron and turn things around for them.
Yeah, they probably could. Barron there, yeah. I talked to him. He loved it.
Did he land safe? How was the landing go?
He loved it, man. The landing did not go well. No, the landing.
Well, they blew out the engine. How are you supposed to? How's a kid supposed to land the plane if they blow the engine?
Rough. Yo, what's up, Agent George Nomikos?
Unless he's Sullivan. No, Sully.
If your name in the chat is Agent George, I mean, then you're good for me there. Don't get too excited, Sean. Tesla is going up until the close. Well, it's not going up right now, my guy, and we're just going to take some out as we continue to go to the short side. And we'll ring the register for 30, 40, 50 cents. I mean, let's just keep it going and see if we do get that epic flush, which I'm not sure it's going to come through. So don't, I've already told you what my piece is, man. We're starting to get out. In fact, I only told you this was a 20% position, looking to get more in, but there it goes to the downside. I mean, no matter what kind of share size you use, big, small, whatever, you need to make sure that you have your outs, have them registered, have them there. And we have a couple wicks down. Oh no, now I got some Nas in my ear. This is gonna be a problem now. All right, 213.20. Let's just wait to figure out what happens now as we come back into the downside for Tesla. And by the way, all right, 60, 70 cents now in the money. I mean, this is what we're doing here all of the time on the show. So there we go, man. It's AMD to the downside. Hooray on that one. Remember what we're talking about again here, guys. Let's just get on the same page. Let's get on the same page. This was a 15-cent risk. We talked about where we were getting stopped out, if we got stopped out on this. So we just took 70 cents on this trade. So again, it's all about risk to reward. It's about share size. It's about all of that. And at the end of the day, make good decisions and then hopefully be able to up your size at the end of it all. But there it goes, man. Tesla right now. Look, Agent George, man, I'm still your #1 fan. There is no doubt about that right now. But Travolta's like, we got the short on right here. I still am long Tesla in my personal account. I think Tesla's going to have I think they're going to have a good report. Like, this is going to look bad. Like, timestamp this, 313 right now, because when Tesla's down 20% tomorrow, I have no idea what they're going to say.
Did you say down 20%?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, what's the expected move? Have you looked?
Let me double check.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's gone 20% in earnings before.
Given what happened today with the down move, I guarantee you that has moved at least a little bit.
I'm not sure. But what I was getting at here was just the fact that
7.5.
Yeah, 7.5. So I think that Tesla, again, what I'm thinking is going to wind up happening here is Elon's going to come through and basically just say, like, look, this is what I meant about robo-taxis. This is the kind of profitability that I see it having. I think it's going to be all about the conference call. They've ramped up production in their gigafactories. I think the numbers are going to be big. I mean, we've gotten the numbers from them before, and it really hasn't collapsed the stock. What wound up happening to this was that robotaxi event. I mean, look what was going on before that event. Then we had a huge move up into 260, into past highs. Then all of a sudden, we just got hit to the downside, right? So we had this guy jumping around on stage with Trump. We have all this kind of stuff. People definitely, I saw the same thing happen when he was looking at X, right? He's distracted. He's not running the business properly. He's jumping around on stage. He's doing this. He's doing that. At the end of the day, he's doing something right. He's the world's richest man. And I'm going to say that, look, not a fanboy like my guy Sharif is, but at the end of the day, I think Tesla's going to be fine. Let's see what winds up happening. The ultimate spot for me is always 200 period moving averages, which coincides with $200. So the 200 period is at 200. That would give you that 7% down, actually brings you into $200. So let's see if that happens. 190 possible for tomorrow, but we're short right now. And all that matters is we're making money for everybody right now. So put it in your account, make a call on it, and see what winds up happening. You can see where my money is right now. I'm out of half of my Tesla position.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen Ford, Tesla fans just want to believe. Well, that's what fans are. Are you a fan? Are you an investor? I don't consider myself a fanboy. I have a profound respect for the fact that they actually pulled something incredibly difficult off, which is going from an incredibly difficult business in general. Just the automotive industry it sucks. It's like the airlines. It stinks. It's not good to make cars. It's hard business, and people always lose money, and everyone goes bankrupt, and they actually make money when they sell cars. So if that's being a fanboy, no, I'm just impressed with it. So whether you're in long-term or a trade, I think that 200 level is going to be an important one, just based on the fact that it's going to be that 7.5% expected move. So we're waiting for myself here, and I had a different plan of action on Tesla. I wasn't going to sit on the offer when it was going up at 214. It was confirmed 214 is a short, pull back, and then I'm waiting for an entry level. There's a rejection of about 213.60. Tries to break that high, breaks the prior low, gets short on the break of that prior low at 50, play to that support level, and then play to this wick bottom off 213 even. And now my stop's going to go to break even. So now I'm stopping back underneath 213.50. So that's just the execution plan for me, like waiting for it to give me that rejection candle, confirming the trend, and then there's my entry, moving the stop as it tries to go. DJT, by the way, we've only really been in two things. I know I'm still in Enphase, but Enphase was a trade from earlier. DJT goes right back to that same prior high at 36.40 and cannot seem to go again on DJT. Looking for a break. I already have an offer in front of the 50s and an offer in front of the high of the day here in front of that 70 level, so like at 63. But we're trying to get filled up here. It did double tap 36. Still going higher, but it's not really blowing anything out of the water there on DJT. You got to try to ring the register in the afternoon. It's already 317. If this was going to blow out the top, I feel like it's got to do it in the next little bit here, or it might just be an aftermarket thing. And even Funware started to pull back. So the sympathy play is turning into a bit of a nothing burger here on Funware. And if you're watching Peloton, Peloton's still not doing anything. No break of the high on Peloton. You can't be worth $31. I mean, obviously no one else believes it. If anyone actually believed this was really worth $31 or half of that, they'd be gobbling this up with the short float. Mm-hmm. Although I would imagine if this starts to go, like if it starts, no, but you're right, $7. No, it's into overhead resistance on Peloton. Take that back. I was going to say, if it starts to get going, gets 625, 650, people will start piling on. But if you really zoom out the chart on Peloton, yeah, it doesn't get all that exciting yet. For Peloton. Great if you're in at $3, but then what reason would you have had to be in at $3 except for chipping a chair, I guess? That is
the reason, right? I mean, it's just like why buy anything? I mean, you got to try to figure out what's the right price. I mean, I love NVIDIA, down 5% today, right? I mean, it's like, has anything really changed in the company? You need headlines like that. All right, stock has been, I thought there was a note there about DJT, but it's nothing. It was just talking about the volatility there. All right, so there it is, 152. I'm going to take out another piece here. as AMD has come back up to the upside right now. So we only have, I got to adjust my stop. We have about 7% left of our trade. I mean, it did what we wanted it to do, and we got out. So for me, that's a good face slapper, because it did basically exactly what we thought it would do. No, not what we thought it would do, but what it was looking like it was going to do, and that was make that move down off of those levels. And we talked about why we were trying to get short. It did go a little higher than I liked. Like, you know, that first sort of 152.20s or so I thought was going to hold there. And then we just, I guess we kind of got lucky, because our stop was 152.50. You know, the saving part about this whole trade, why didn't I even notice that it just came right, like we should have reloaded there. That was, I don't know what we were doing there. But was this fill? Because if we just keep on VWAP right now, then we basically don't make that much. The good thing is that we got that top tick right there. So I think as a teaching lesson here, and just a teaching lesson in the wild, is, you know, get your orders out and then just look for the fills that you want and plan them out on both sides of it, right? Like this fill, I didn't even have to have a bid down there. This was at the point, I guess there must have been something down here why I bid 70s, but came in, filled us at 70, and that was that. And that happened to be the bottom. Sometimes we're like, oh man, we made the bottom wick, but there we actually got filled at the bottom. So that's the life of a trader. Some of the fills will come in and you'll love them, and some of them will be like, wow, that was bad. And some of them you'll miss.
I think if you zoom out,
like we missed that one by up right here. We missed it by 4 cents, and then it went $1.50.
Oh no, that was it was 60.
Yeah, 260 for Tesla.
No. If you zoom, no, I mean on AMD. If you zoom the whole day out, you could see 151.60 looked like an implied supply area. Sorry, I'm just on DJT because I wanted to show you. We said we'd get more out at that high because it wasn't breaking, and then stop out went from underneath here to underneath 36. So we're out of 36. No, but what I was getting at with if you zoom all the way out on AMD, that's a little too far. Is where is it? So there's 151.60, and then here, when it made that wipeout bottom this morning, the higher low is just right there at 151.60. So volume and supply came in there, and then it ended up resistance. So on the way back in, again, if you're a support and resistance trader, prior support or prior resistance, in theory, turns into it. And it doesn't mean you got to go long when it bounces there, but if you're looking at support and resistance, usually you want to get out at a support level. So that 70 makes sense. When you zoom it out, that's just a 3-minute chart if anyone's curious about that. So DJT loses 36. All right, and I'm going to go over, Enphase is really not doing anything here. So it's not running 30.78s. Doesn't seem like it wants to break that low. I'm going to hop on the bid here. There's support, it looks like, at the 77.50. Have to remember, Enphase is down 15% today after earnings. And you look at the daily chart, like it's close enough to some pretty hefty bottoms that it wouldn't be crazy. Like if you're taking profit on your recent unbelievably great shorts in Enphase on earnings forever, then you might want to take some profit in this afternoon, maybe even at the close. So if it's not going to go any further at this point, I'm just popping on the bid here in front of 77.5. I still have the out at 77.10. I will have to remember to cancel that after I get the fill because that's what we got to do today. Dragos, yes, Peloton still is in business. I get
apparently.
You don't get like I on Amazon. All the time I get these like I'll see Peloton pop up. I guess it's because I've gotten workout stuff. Like,
we saw that they had that deal with Costco yesterday as well.
They always have these great deals.
There's some new things happening there.
I mean, at some point,
Costco.
I don't know.
Costco's the best.
I want a rowing. I want to get a rower at some point. But I won't get a Peloton rower. I just get a. I don't need like what difference like I can put on
just be a high quality rower. I mean, you don't have to subscribe to the.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You can just get the bike. You can do your own spin classes. Like Apple, we subscribe to Apple. It has all of the workouts.
That's what I'm saying. Why would I need?
You can. It's all for free. It's all part of the Apple One plan. You get them all for free. Yeah. Whatever kind you want, running, anything like that. Okay, so. Tesla, again, we have a small position. We have about 30%, now less than that, left on Tesla. I'm going to try again at 50, and then if we break that little 200-period moving average right there, then we're gone. It's pretty simple stuff, man. I mean, breaking back down underneath that, we'll hold it. That's the 200-period moving average. Now, it was up here at 214-ish when we first took this trade, which is why we based it out there. But at the end of the day, it is making a move back up. So what's up to Agent...
Orange?
Agent George something there. It looks like we are getting an end of day push back up to the upside. So we are going to be very, very careful, make sure that we still remain green on the stock and offer a little bit at 50 just to get a little bit more, just to see what this run up is all about. And then we will punch out if it breaks higher through that 213.70 area, which is where the 200 period moving average is. And there you go, man, Agent George, congratulations. And this is what we talk about all the time, where you can win and lose basically on completely opposite positions. It's all about timing, and especially when you're going to be sitting here and scalping away. We have a huge advantage, and we talk about that, trading other people's money here at the prop floor, being able to get in and out relatively quickly and be able to change our mind up real fast. So a couple of those dip buys and paying little to no fees. We did a little talk yesterday. It just gives you the opportunity to do things like this. So if you're paying, $10, $20 or whatever, not $20 a trade, but as you start to pay more and more fees per trade per day, I guess, and then you look at your monthly statements, you're like, holy crap, I spent $3 grand in fees or something like that. That's going to be a problem coming in again for most people. So, all right, let's just get a bid out here, 45s if we can. There we go. We'll get it there. So take some more fills. So we just went short at what price, guys? We just went short at 55. We'll take a 45. So see, this is what I'm talking about, Agent George Ayal. It's like I'm making money now, and the stock is just retracing back in 10 cents. Do we want a bigger move? Yes. And are we getting it? Potentially. So let's get another bid there. We'll punch out some 42s as this is fading back in. Look, we'll just take 13 cents. There's only 35 minutes left in the market. Okay, here it comes back in again. Let's just litter the bid now. Maybe this is how we get filled, right? As this starts to fall back in, we'll take some more fills and then just start to get out. So a couple good areas here for Tesla. We'll see what it can do. We are not in the mood to reload AMD. My stop on AMD is 153.50s. So a little bit of a break up on this side, fine. We are in less than 7% of this name as well. So far, so good on all of these reloads, but just a little talk about scalping and how you can make money.
Wow, DJT is now flushing.
Is it?
That was a good thing we got out at 36. DJT's at 35.30, and nothing happened here, I'm assuming. There's no news story. No one tweeted anything or nothing that I can see. So it could have just been technical maybe on DJT. But the acceleration to the downside, if you happen to still be, but it lost VWAP. I can't imagine any stop that I think you would have on the long on this way up, unless you were long from the bottom. It's probably run that. I would have gone over to punch into Funware, but by the time I saw that candle, Funware was also in the midst of a deep pullback. It's already pulled back $1. I'm not chasing a move like that and punching the low. You need to get it right away when you see that candle. And at the moment, it doesn't even seem like DJT's leading Funware like it was before. So it is what it is. I got out that 50 level on Tesla. Once it tagged 13, my stop went, I'll zoom in for you guys. Once it tagged 13, the stop went back into this lower candle here at 213.5. And now we can see it, if it gets back to 214, there might be another trade off the 214 level. I want to see it reject first. It's already 330. I'm not expecting much of anything on the imbalance locator today, but BNS and TD, a couple of Canadian banks lead the way for the early look. I wouldn't pay attention to those because I've said this many times. I can't remember the last time a significant imbalance on a Canadian bank wasn't the opposite direction in Toronto. Like if it's a buy here, it's a sell in Toronto, which means do not touch it. So TDOC is an early look sell of 800,000. I haven't looked at that stock in a while. If it's over $1 million, TDOC would actually be pretty interesting as an imbalance. Morbid curiosity, I have no idea what price TDOC's at these days.
$8.
Yeah, $8.60. And not doing much of anything. 2.6 million volume, though. That's not a lot of volume on TDOC, considering it's 900,000 imbalance. So maybe there's something there. If that one comes out over $1 million, could be worth watching. Bleeding like pretty much everything else is.
All right, there it is. It's another one. We just talked about that with our friend there, Agent George, because there goes Tesla right there to the upside. So we're out. We got stopped out right there. Tesla's still a positive stock for us there today. But yeah, we gave some back. I mean, that's what's going to happen. When things like that happen, we gave it back a little bit there on Tesla, and that's fine. We were able to get a little bit out there. We got a couple outs. You can't really see, but there's probably 3 or 4 fills right there as we talked about it. We didn't get that very bottom of 35. Then what we got in on, remember we were talking about that, we got long a little bit at the end on an overfill, so it's not, I'm not trying to be like we got long there. Our stop orders will be fixed tomorrow, the specific ones that we like to use, and we've talked about that a little bit on the show as well, so let's wait to see what winds up happening here. AMD is very, very close. It should be out right now. Like, are my stop orders even working? All right, let's just cancel this and then figure it out. So 152.65. Yeah, so we should have been out. So we're going to give that again, 152.66 break. We're going to get out of this one. As the markets start to go back up to the upside, completely fine with that here into the close. We haven't really done anything significant on anything recently. Starbucks, there's that 97 again, feeling pretty smart about ourselves again here because we were able to avoid that Starbucks from 97. It's going to be my biggest red name today will be S-Bucks, and we sort of well documented today because we just kept shorting it. And actually, it's my reddest name, but it's not really that red. I mean, we were pretty much positive. We were positive there, and then gave it back on that last move when it did not hold 96 short. So be patient with what's happening today. NVIDIA, we are going to be red on NVIDIA today actually as well. We made it all, our number one stock by far is AMD. It's a great one. But this is what we did early. There's where we were red. First of all, on NVIDIA, then we went long, and then it was just, again, like our reds are very, very slight today, which I'm pretty proud of. We just right there, tried to go long again on VWAP and lost it. And since then, we touched down to 138. Down 3 points today is NVIDIA, but let's not cry over spilled milk here because if you talk about where we were yesterday had a more than a 4% move up, and we were just back to 140 before. So, All right. McDonald's outbreak possibly.
Oh, no.
No, they're just saying there is a possibility of more outbreaks now in Colorado. So 298, it doesn't look like it's a major move here, but I don't like that, so I am going to push the short. But see the spread? I'm actually crossed right now into the 30s and not getting anything. So I might just have to, that's too bad there. All right, well.
It's falling like a rock.
All right, amen. At least your boy is here. I was crossing down. I crossed down 20 cents, and the spread was just too. Oh well, I could have just punched 25s there. Wow, that was a big trade. Ah well, there goes McDonald's to the downside. You don't have more E. coli and think that that's good, man. Nice move to the downside right there. We just missed that punch. Look, I mean, it opens up, right? I mean, I don't know where the spread's going to fill you at the end of the day. But remember, this name should not be SSR. It's not. And what SSR is down 10%. And it never hit that at any point today. I think it hit that after hours yesterday because that wouldn't matter. It has to go intraday. 315 down, so we only need to lose 35 bucks. It goes down to 280, so it right in that range. Oh, no, now it's starting to bleed. Okay, there goes McDonald's. You heard it here first. More possible E. coli contamination there in Colorado. So if you're over there in Colorado, you may want to stay away from your local MCD for now until that gets all.
Don't eat that quarter pounder, man.
Yeah, but it's in the onions. So, I mean,
but they said, the report that I read said that they use different onions in the quarter pounder than they do in the other stuff. Which...
Yeah, because you know why? Because they did. I don't know if you've been to well, obviously you've been to many places like this, but there's not an actual chef at a Casey's or like a Outback. They just have so if you order the spaghetti, it's like in a huge jar. They just kind of dump it into the pan, cook it up, and then serve it to you.
I just thought the onions would be the same for the Big Mac as it would be in the quarter pounder and it would be in the double cheeseburger. That's what surprised me. I know how they prepare it in a general sense, but it's not a good look for them. No. And this might take a while to settle itself out.
It's not actually moving that much.
I'm talking about maybe not today. I'm talking about days and weeks.
Yeah, I think 250 is maybe where it stops, but
250 that's the golden. It's been the golden level down here on McDonald's. I didn't mean that pun. Golden level, golden arches, whatever.
Probably didn't mean it.
It's probably subliminal or something.
I do that all the time. It's like people think that you're doing it on purpose, but you are not.
I'm not that clever. That's a complete coincidence. Oh, but I finally got out of Enphase. Enphase broke that 78. So this was a trade. It was just a trade from earlier. Just to explain what the notion was here with Enphase. Why did I want to get in at that price? It was rejecting. Ideally, I was looking for a short between like 82 to 84 range as a reversion play. It never got anywhere close, so it lost VWAP. There was support above VWAP here at 79, so it rejected 70. Basically, it rejected this high 79 and consolidated under. So when this candle rejected, I looked for a breakdown underneath that support, essentially shorted it, realized, hey, well, there's the morning range, scalped out in front of that. So that's like 78.5 into 78, and then hold if it broke 78, and then I've just been holding back into the 78 level. So it wasn't a VWAP trade, it was like a consolidation under VWAP for Enphase, which is another one you want to give a little bit of a heartbeat. Enphase is going to be SSR tomorrow, so it's short sell restricted today, and tomorrow it's down over 10%.
Hey.
So that means I think tomorrow the SSR bounce, whether it's at 75 or 73.5 here or 71.5 there, all those levels in play for a day 2 bounce.
What happened to the poll, man?
What?
It's over.
What is the
we had the wrong time on there. No, it's do you eat McDonald's? So I put yes, but the thing is that I want to make sure that we clarify because it's coffee. What, did you end it?
No, I didn't do anything. I was gonna go answer the poll yes because I had it yesterday.
Yeah. Well, of course, yeah. You've already told that story. So I mean, I think yes is. I think people that say no.
You know you eat McDonald's.
You know, it's kind of like who you voting for. I never vote for him, but yet I did. All right. So let's find out. What does Day Trader Cut say? Dragging the broader market without. Turns out investors weren't loving it. Yeah, you're right about that one. Right there. Look, we already talked about what CMG went through when it had the E. coli, went down 60%. That took over, I think it was 3 years. Because the thing is now you have the FDA and all that involved, and then when that happens, that is a problem. Okay, here we go. It's back up. Thank you, Fabian. Yes. Okay, so there it goes. We'll select yes. And again, yesterday we were at the arena, and I have to admit this. I'll get McDonald's coffee right now over anywhere else because you get the monopoly. So, you get a chance to win a drink or something like that. So we've been getting some coffees there. Now it's better. 49.51. I haven't won.
You get 4 stickers with the 20-piece McNuggets.
Oh, 4 stickers.
Yeah, well, there's a good reason why I know that. Because my daughter, we just like playing the Monopoly game. You can't win. It's not even about that. It's just something fun we do, and she loves.
Have you guys won any instant prizes?
Oh yeah, we win some instant prizes, but
that's the only way.
because I don't eat McDonald's outside of home when my daughter wants it. Like my wife will take it in and give it to someone in her office when she goes in. Like there's a McDonald's here, but I don't know anybody that walks to that McDonald's to eat it here. Otherwise, I'd bring in when I get something. At our old office, I'll tell you right now, I switched from coffee at Tim Hortons to McDonald's if I have to pick and choose between the two. They changed the beans in Tim Hortons years ago, and McDonald's picked up, in Canada anyways, and McDonald's picked up the same distributor. And all of a sudden, McDonald's coffee was the ish. So I've already made my vote. Not in anything right now because we just got out. There might be something else here on Tesla. I don't know how much I like this on Tesla the second time through. There was no follow through the first time, so why would I like it the second time on Tesla? Feels like maybe you're going to get a little bit of it's earnings as well, right? Like how much do you want to fight a late day earnings, pre-earnings move? Some people, if you're short all day long and you want to capture your profit before earnings, well, the trend's been down, so capturing profit for anybody trading today would have been getting out of their short positions. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw some kind of an imbalance somewhere. I don't know if it's going to be Tesla. Still pretty much nothing except for a couple banks and Teladoc in there. Let's be careful with Tesla. I don't see an obvious re-entry point. Peloton actually broke the high, but didn't do anything. 620 to 630. So yeah, overhead resistance looms on the daily chart for Peloton, and the market doesn't think they're worth $31 yet, I guess.
We talked about they're cutting that Apple Vision Pro. We've already sort of gone over some of that story as well. All right.
Ooh, Apple just caught a bid.
So McDonald's is basically all the way back to where it was. So we just had that little talk about that. So we'll have to wait to see what is going on with that. I might just punch out of that IBIT. What's Tesla doing right now? 214, so good call on that one. You guys are going long over there. Is there anything else you guys want to look at here today? I mean, we can have a quick look at DJT. Yeah, okay, not doing much. You did get that dip down. Neil was covering it when that happened. XOM. Anything else, you guys? DraftKings. We were looking at DraftKings. Oh, yeah. Wasn't I looking at this earlier? And I was like, oh, my God, is that 37.50 or something?
I think so.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, okay.
Silver, someone said.
Oh, man.
Oh, I was in silver
like,
again today.
DraftKings, man. All right, so there's
Can't go.
Wow. Okay. I mean, 3650. Those of you that have been watching for a week or so, this is a level that we have been looking at since time. So we were actually on it this day right here. What day was this? This is the day that we actually were looking at this, and it actually went down to 3650 and didn't break. And then it just hit that again today, 36. That's 3660, that's 3650. So it got right into there today. We'll get that wick later on at the end, but there it is right there, 3640. Well, here, we had the low of the day, 3648. So fine, perfect. Like, that's great. So now we see that that's a hold. So if we can start tomorrow somewhere on DraftKings, you know, in and around here, 3670, I mean, it's kind of where we are now. We only have 10 minutes left, but I don't mind that level. Hit that in here, 37, short into 3650, break 3650, get more, and then see about, you know, where we go from there. So DraftKings tomorrow, put that on your iPad. Make sure that's all written down, because I like that 3650 level there on DKNG. Probably doesn't come in now, but even if it does, I don't mind that break. But the market is telling you no. The market is up now. Look at it. Hold the 50 period. Hold it again. It is trying to get to VWAP. It's not going to have enough time to do that. But again, another level to look at VWAP there for the NASDAQ would be 20,300. So if you think it can get there, you have to wait another 80 handles. So I wouldn't be short until about another 70 handles in and around here, holding out VWAP for a chance. I mean, those of you, again, that have been here, these imbalances are coming out in just 10 minutes. So
I saw someone say IBM.
You'll have the NASDAQ there. IBM, well, that's a new...
They're another one. So, like, it ain't all Tesla today, right? I mean, obviously, a lot of people are interested in Tesla, especially traders, because of how it moves. But, I mean, IBM's chart's better than Tesla's chart. IBM reports after the bell. What is their expected move? Let me just quickly double check here. It is aftermarket. It's Lamb is aftermarket tonight. I'm like 99% sure. Where are you, IBM? Yeah. Oh, you know what? Maybe it's on page 2. I just made it all smarter by accidentally zooming out. Why can't it's not
definitely not on page 2? What are international business machines?
I'm so blind.
Come on, bro.
No, 6%. That's not a lot. But you know what? Who cares? 6% on IBM when you consider the usual move that it'll do throughout the day. That is actually pretty decent. And IBM is another stock, actually at the highs, actually green on the day, actually at almost all-time highs there to the upside. The risk usually for something like this is when it's been so good, like how perfect do you have to be? Like when you're up this much, and I'm just talking about like the last little rally. Whoops, I just zoomed in too far. The last little rally for the last quarter and a half here, you're up way, way higher than I think a lot of its cohorts. So I think if you lose 230 in there, it probably could just be, hey, if they were at expectations and they don't like the guide, I think you're looking for dip buys. It's basically been the easiest, one of the easier buy the dips when you look at each successive dip. It either immediately recovers, goes into a prior support level, goes into a prior support level, immediately recovers, goes into a prior support, or you could say immediately recovers, and now it's just consolidating. So if it dips, you like give it, this one you've been giving it 1 day after the dip. Forget about 3 days, although earnings is always a little bit different. Late night climb in CGC, says Pretty Panda. It's up. It's at $5. It's not a late night climb, it's a late afternoon climb. Off the bottoms for CGC. So there you go. Obviously, the weed names have been under a tremendous amount of pressure. How about it actually closes above the 50 period? Let's see it close above $5 and then break out the high. Because look at that 530, probably 532 or 533 in here. That looks like a pretty good level. This double top on CGC. Catalyst, do you necessarily need one? It's a squeeze name. It's a bull flag, I guess, if you look at it that way. I think it's just a consolidation here. Looks like it wants to close that 50 period and break out the top, but that's a tomorrow thing. Like I can go CGC on my iPad and throw in and just put $5.30. But if I come in tomorrow and it's at 470, it doesn't really matter.
All right, yeah, I was been lucky to have, watched like Mad Money and everything like that with my father growing up and things like that, because IBM has been in my portfolio for years and years and years, like 20 years basically. And the reason why is because like it's a dividend name. And it's like one of the only tech names that were producing such a great dividend for a while. And it has really, really taken off, man. I mean, again, a pretty natural AI play built into the name there. I mean, you guys remember watching Jeopardy there, and they had like that initial AI guy, Watson. That was performing there on Jeopardy. So yeah, man. So we really like that. Okay, AMD came out fine. AMD's the biggest stock for me today. We were holding that 7% into that, and there it goes. It broke completely fine with that. I mean, that's a money maker right there. Tesla, we made money as well, but got out before that broke higher. We've been really lazy with IBIT. We have 1% left. I'm just going to punch out of IBIT there as, all right, there it goes. You get some midpoints. But yeah, we're now out of IBIT as just to punch out. We should have really got out here at the 200, but there's the trade for me here. And just so you guys know, IBIT will be, so for me, P&L number 1 will be AMD, then followed by SMCI, as that was a good short, not as good as being able to hold it. And then after that, we have IBIT. And then that's it, man. And then we have Tesla, which is just positive for us. And then we have 2 red stocks for us today, both with NVIDIA and Starbucks, basically both down the exact same. As we take a cup of coffee on one Starbucks, and then NVIDIA, we are down on that name today. But again, nowhere near like what we can make on this, or nowhere near what we lose when we're wrong. So a pretty uninteresting day for me today on NVIDIA. I wish it was a little bit more, but hey, we haven't traded AMD in a while, and now it's PL1. And we didn't even trade this until 12:30. So we did well there to take this short. And there's a lot of outs, but you know, that's how we're doing it. We're trying to get better. It looks like a lot of outs, but at the same time, you know, it's about where the big outs are. Maybe we'll see if we can code like certain percentages of these, but there it goes to the downside now with AMD and out of that, but it looks like everything's trying to go.
Yeah.
So the market's not even down that much anymore.
There's some bids coming in here. The market's, I mean, the ES is under 1% and almost at VWAP, and the NASDAQ's going too. Like AMD's right back at 153. I don't think you stand in front of this at those highs. Unless there's a big sell imbalance when the stock's at the high of the day, that could be something. Though I've never seen, I shouldn't say never, I can't remember the last time I saw AMD have a significant imbalance that wasn't like a third Friday. So NVIDIA, yes. AMD, I really can't remember. I'm sure it has happened at some point, but I'm going to guess it's unlikely. That does lend me to looking at NVIDIA, which is underneath VWAP. Like if NVIDIA comes in balance, there might be something really quick here in either direction because you've got VWAP to play with in that 140 area. There was I was asked in the chat, have a look at UAVS, and it was just in the context of look at that drop. Yeah, unless you have, I don't know what would get you into that. Unless the only thing that gets you this trade is like $3 or VWAP. And this is why we kind of look at VWAP. Look at the acceleration when it just loses VWAP here. It tries to hold above, it loses it, and it doesn't give you any consolidation. It just drops like an absolute rock. And then I meant to go over this, and at the time I didn't want to interrupt, but nobody's trading Bivy. So I didn't think anybody it was that big of a deal. No one really asked about it. BIVI, this was one from the other day, those runners. And remember how we warn about these runners for multi-day holds because they dropped an offering. So what happens when a stock like this, a reverse split that bounces off $1, goes to $7, tries to hold? Well, they do what responsible ownership does, which is take advantage of the rise in price to get more capital, which is what they did. It dropped from $4 all the way to $3. It halted on the way down. It reopened. It's right back at the lows in BIVI. So just be careful with these small cap, low float runners. We know the story. They can be fantastic. They can be fun to trade. They can be great for a couple of days, but no one ever wants to get wrapped up in an offering. And then all of a sudden your gains, or at least 30% of your gains, it looks like, would be out the window if you were just holding on to this, thinking it was cruising along. You make sure you make money. When you make a good decision, make sure you make money on that good decision. One of the very first trades in my personal account that wasn't buying some ETF or mutual fund was actually just a shot play on a penny stock. I don't remember what the penny stock was. And I remember there was like a catalyst for it. Someone on the floor was like, this is going to happen. I'd seen it a few days as a day trade. I'm like, I hadn't traded it myself. I'm like, oh, I like that long. I think it was around 40 to 50 cents. I bought it at like maybe 47, let's just call it. It went almost to $1. It was like 84. When the news hit, I'm like, yeah, baby, it's going through $1. Did I sell it? No. I wanted it to break $1. Did it ever break $1? No. You know where I got out of that stock? At about 45 cents. So I basically just paid some fees and didn't make anything on it. I learned that lesson. No one ever went broke taking profit, especially in these types of things.
I mean, I don't know if you saw IBKR or Charles Schwab. I mean, they're making a lot of money on fees. So, yeah, they want
That's
you to
how they
trade.
work, man.
Want you to trade, that is for sure. All right, so with only a minute left until the imbalances come through, we will be bringing those. There's no place you can find the imbalances live except for right here at Trader TV Live. So make sure you hit the like and the subscribe. Be part of this community ASAP. Neil and I are always looking at the chat. We're talking about it. Snapchat, another one. We talked about this down to $10 today. We did not leave our bid, but that did give us 10. So we'll have to see Snapchat tomorrow with only now 30 seconds before these imbalances. Snapchat right now down to $10. They got upgraded this morning. I don't love the business, but Snapchat is still a thing. And I thought it would have got gobbled up a long time ago. We had bought this at 11 and then got some out around 18. I'll double check to see what we have left, but it hasn't been a concern of mine, so probably not that much. We'll have to wait to see what happens right now. Let's just check out Tesla into these imbalances as we're about to drop right now, 2 and 1. Let's go find out what's going on. So there's Tesla with the imbalances out. I'm not seeing much movement at all. It's NVIDIA with the buy. So there's NVIDIA coming through. Let's just zoom this in to see what's going on there. It said, whoopsies, it said NVIDIA with a buy. NVIDIA is starting to ramp up a little bit. BAC with a buy. AAPL, that's American Airlines, not Apple. There's NVIDIA. Nice move, starting to go. Look at the volume now coming in. NVIDIA buy just increased right there. It just went from 1.7 to 2. So they're adding more shares into the auction for NVIDIA. Remember, if there's more shares that keep getting added, it's going to drive the price up, right? There's more demand hitting right now. This is like a live auction, basically, right now. There it goes, now down to 1.507. So see, now it's starting to drip down, right? We were just at 2 million shares. Now we're down to 1.5. There goes NVIDIA dripping. But remember this. It's already 10 million paired.
That's a huge.
Yeah, so you're looking at 12 million shares have already been accounted for. So this 1.5 left is only going to be about 15% of that. So we'll have to wait to see what winds up happening now. I'm flat on everything. It's been a pretty good day here. We've gone over a lot, and I hope you guys have seen a lot today and learned a lot. So hit the like, hit the subscribe. I'm not really seeing anything else. You had mentioned T-Doc before. That's not doing anything.
This is nothing.
Intel AMD with a buy. Not much movement, but it's coming out very, very soon. It's going to be Tesla.
It's Tesla, let's be
the
real.
implied move, 7%, puts you down exactly at $200. So we'll see if Tesla goes down 7 or up 7. My prediction, northbound tomorrow for Tesla. So why don't we put that? Can we put that up quickly, Fabian? Can you get that? Why don't we get it? Will Tesla close green or red tomorrow?
Oh, tomorrow, okay.
Not today. I mean, it's or we can do where will it open at 9. Man, why don't we do that?
I'm kind of like where will it open?
Yeah, because then we could do another one at close. Okay.
Yeah.
So how about this, Fabian? Tomorrow? Will Tesla be green or red at open tomorrow? Something like that. That's fine. We don't need to make predictions on price. Green or red is good enough for me because if you understand the earnings, it could go either way. So we'll figure that out. But right now, there's NVIDIA. Sorry, there's NVIDIA. Not really doing much here as the imbalance pairs. So yeah. Great close here. It's 3:52. Hey, if it's a day that ends in Y, that means we're on air, except for Saturday and Sunday, and holidays. But tomorrow's not one of those days. So we're back here live tomorrow. Make sure you catch us at 8:30. You know, hit that little bell on YouTube. That will make sure that you get the reminders, and then you don't have to worry about me telling you what day it is. Show them live where the bell is? Okay.
Oh.
All right, here we go, guys. There it is right there. So I am already subscribed. So you got to make sure that you hit subscribe right now. We have more than 4 likes. Believe me, I was number 4 on that one with over 4,500 watching right now. Please make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and join us tomorrow as we'll be doing this all over again.
I like these things where you just hit all the hearts.
Yeah, all the hearts, all the thumbs up emojis and all that stuff. Yeah,
and you can hit the party. It was Ramin's birthday, so I hit the party thing.
Did you notice that the auto cancel I don't think is working? I don't know. I got to figure this out.
You know what? You might be right. Yeah, that would explain something from earlier. But I usually do a pretty good job of manually canceling my orders. But I
think it's because we're throwing out those stops and it's screwing everything up.
Yeah. When you test the stop. No, with only about 5 minutes to go,
guys.
here.
I'm going green. What did you select? Red.
I'm picking red.
You're picking red. Okay, it's 50-50 right now, baby.
I want it to go up. Don't get me wrong. I want the stock to go up. But
that's about what you think. Yeah, it's not about, what we want and what we think. Sometimes two different
SoFi
things,
got to VWAP, by the way. I don't know.
SoFi? I mean, I like SoFi.
SoFi did make a good bounce today. I think this could be, that gets interesting tomorrow based on what's been happening on SoFi. Consolidation off the top, hold $10. Let's see if it can get above, 1065. That'd be a spicy little breakout for SoFi. If it can happen, DJT is going to be in play again for a breakout. But let's be real. This evening, it's going to be all about Tesla. Dara's going to join me on the desk. We've got Chris Breter coming through. He's excited. We've got IBM as well. And Lam Research. That was the big three.
Kablam.
I mean, given what happened to ASML, given what's happening to AMAT, and given what's happening in general to the chips, Lam is going to be a mover as well. We shouldn't ignore it. Because they split. Lam is tradable. It's a $70 stock now. It used to be $700, and nobody would look at Lam Research. But suddenly, it looks a little bit better, LRCX. But Tesla now catching a bit of it. It was bouncing hard into VWAP. And then all of a sudden at 355, it looks like it's going to pull back in here. So Tesla doesn't quite get to VWAP. It's going to close red 1.8%, but that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, here we go,
We're talking
man.
about
This
tomorrow.
is Maddie Matheson right here. Yeah, tomorrow Tesla's going to be huge. So here it is. This Maddie Matheson here from The Bear. This guy's absolutely, from other things too, New York Times bestselling author. This is the book that my wife got yesterday. It is the newest cookbook in the Katina household. The Maddie Matheson Soups, Salads, and Sandwiches. My favorite food group. Sandwiches. I love those sandwiches. Get me some of those porchettas. I know one guy here knows what I'm talking about. We love those sandwiches. Maddie Matheson, a brand new book. And I told my wife, I was skimming through it yesterday, and I'm like, damn, I love tuna melts. So she went out today, grabbed everything necessary. Do you know in his book, he goes, and for the tuna melt, he says, half Miracle Whip, half mayonnaise to make the tuna. I never heard of that before. I like the real original mayonnaise and not the Miracle Whip, but we're going to give it a go.
No, the only time I actually like mayonnaise is if I'm making a tuna salad or whatever. But no, I don't use Miracle Whip.
Make your own mayonnaise. It's a great idea
that's better
as well.
100%. No, I kind of was curious. I mean, I have to get up to the desk, but that sandwich that was on the book looked absolutely ridiculous to me. That's
you should see the club
I'm
sandwich.
a Montreal smoked meat guy.
Are you? Okay.
With real Dijon. There, guys. So that's my
what sandwich is that there? That's his club, I think.
Are you kidding? That is a
that's the club. But you see how he's got Texas the pickles there and everything? Yeah, man. It's his. This is what was. I mean, there's not many ingredients on that salad right there, but yeah, man. He needs a few more tabs.
Yeah, that's too boring.
Right there.
Okay, I gotta get up to this. We got 3 minutes. Of course, Tesla, Lam, IBM will be at the desk there with the Dara. So I'll meet you guys on the flip side. I'm just going to mosey on 15 steps over there, and we'll see you in a few minutes.
Some Tesla business coming through at the end of the day. All right, man. I hope everybody has really enjoyed themselves here today, as it's been a very, very good day. We don't need this hat on. We had our Trade the Pool hat on, and that was a company that we had before. Look, thank you, everybody, for joining us one more time here today. We'll continue to have a lot of fun and hopefully go over trades, talk about strategies, education. At the end of the day, here to have fun and show you guys what the markets are all about. Make sure that you join us at Real Trading. Scan that watch list right there. Get the best watch list in the business. It's available for free every single day, delivered right into your inbox. It is the Trader TV Live watch list. Grab that every single day. All right, 3 minutes left. What do we want to talk about? Let's have a look quickly on Tesla. I mean, everyone's going to be looking at this here into the close, especially as we get those reports. I think he's come out relatively soon on that. Let me just check my notes here to see when exactly Tesla is expected to come out today. We're just going to watch it. I just want to see, because Dara will do this work for us and find it out. So 4:10 is the estimated time of arrival for Tesla's earnings. what we're looking at today. These are the names: T-Mobile, TMUS coming to report tonight as well. So that's coming. That's at 4 p.m. Oh boy, a name that I've gotten out of was Las Vegas, was Win, but it's LVS coming today with a report. So we'll see what happens with Las Vegas Sands. This name really at highs right now. Again, some of that China pushback has been tough there for some of these names like a Win. We have Lam Research, LRCX coming tonight. LRCX, of course, on the NASDAQ. That will be coming through. Probably a rough day for them as the chip space has been getting hit. Remember, ASML there had a bad report, and you can see what's happened. Darn it, split adjusted, so we won't be able to see how good that looks on the chart. Mattel. Barbie was what, 2 years ago? Haven't heard much from Mattel since, but there it is. That's still LRCX. There's Mattel right now. You can see here, downside right now. Hot Wheels. Okay, thank you for that, Fabian. Mattel on the way back down in. We'll see about new product placement for them. Tesla. Oh, Viking Therapeutics, VKTX. That has been a big name recently as well. Viking Therapeutics. Watch out for... I think they're GLP-1, right? Are they working on that oral drug? So watch out for Viking Therapeutics down there for your GLP-1 needs, I think, but don't quote me on that one. What else is there? IBM, oh my God, QuantumScape. QuantumScape's a name that we haven't even looked at in a minute, down to $5. QuantumScape. All right, where's Miss Dara? Or someone. The bell is now in 20 seconds. Do not run, Dara. Do nobody run, please. We do not need anybody to get hurt here because I'm not even on the right page. All right, the countdown is now on. Now we have less than 10 seconds. No hammer, use your head. Okay, we've got the hammer right there. Ramin is there. 3, 2, 1. It is now done. It's over, Ramin. Kill it. That is the end of that one. Thank you, Miss Ramin. It is 4 o'clock. The NASDAQ finishes all right. Down 1.6%. If we're ready, I mean, Neil went over there. We are ready for a bunch of earnings. Tell me in my ear. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. We'll throw it over there in just a couple seconds when Fabian gives me the okay. There's the thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching today. It's been an absolute blast. I want to thank Sharif. I want to thank Satya. I want to thank Fabian, Ramina, Dara. I want to thank Brendo, Andre, my new guy right here, Matthew, in the building. I want to thank him as well. Everybody, thank you so much. Bears vs. Bulls, our moderator. We couldn't do it without you. It's another one. It's another big show from Trader TV Live. Let's go over to the recap show. Good luck with earnings, everybody. Ciao.
Thank you very much, Sir Sean. We got an action-packed aftermarket today because you've got earnings palooza. It's not just Tesla. We have a host of names that should be coming out. The first of which is supposed to be T-Mobile here. So TMUS we're expecting first, at least on the research that we got here. Mattel, LCRX. We were looking at Las Vegas Sands. Tesla should come at 410 as well. So we're going to have you covered. We're locked and loaded and ready to go. It wasn't the best day overall for the market. That's a bit of an understatement. It was a terrible day for the market overall. We're essentially flushing across the board. When you have a look at those cues, it was absolute disaster on this chart. We caught a bit at the end of the day, but 2% into the downside at our lowest, actually a little bit more than that, recovering about 1.5. But this is what happens when the market backs off of highs. You get profit takers galore, and as the chips go, the market goes. You're not going to have a good day when NVIDIA bleeds. NVIDIA is one of the best stocks out there performance-wise, but NVIDIA 3% down, making lower lows the whole way through. Still haven't seen anything just yet from T-Mobile. That's who we're expecting first at 4 o'clock. Just haven't seen it hit the wires. Las Vegas Sands, LRCX. Obviously, Tesla is going to be a big one for everybody. This always happens. There's somebody out there, and I'm not naming any names, or like, is it a day trader? Is it not day trader? Is it a fat finger? But Tesla's already making moves and the earnings are not out yet. Like, you're down about $1 from the close. And then there was this nice wick at the close, dropping it right down in from 14 into 13. So they're not out. We're expecting 410 on Tesla. I made the bet that I think, well, it was just on our poll, that I thought we were going to be red at the open tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if we recovered, but I'm kind of feeling like they're not going to love. I think it'll be a good quarter. I just don't think it's going to matter because of the way they like to punish things. That's how it's been going for Tesla recently. So this is the one that's going to be focused on for a lot of people. What is Elon going to say on the call after the fact? What is the price action going to give us here? Tesla on the daily. You've basically been inside the range for a while. That means an explosion, that 7.5% that we're expecting, could come into play, that 200-period moving average to the upside. You take that 7% and you get the 50-period. So 50-period up top, 200-period below, makes a heck of a lot of sense to me, Dara, that Tesla has settled right down in the middle. Now I see T-Mobile go higher. So T-Mobile now breaking out. Yeah, there's T-Mobile, $10 to the upside, 5% move. The expected move was 5.7% on T-Mobile. Looks like it probably got almost exactly that. So I just see that they've reported and that shares are higher here, as you guys can obviously see. I don't have the numbers just yet, but T-Mobile is absolutely flying at this moment. Do you have the numbers here for us,
Yeah,
Dara?
I'm getting Tesla earnings. It's hard because I have the Zoom
go.
in my ear and also this man in my ear. But from what I hear, they missed revenue. It's the biggest thing I'm hearing here for Tesla. I'm going to see if I can get the actual results. Also, Palantir, a little bit of volume on a L3 Harris partnership. I'm not seeing the numbers come through here, so I'm going to see if I'm seeing anything. And I need to figure out these Zoom settings because I'm really missing things here. But basically, TSLA missing revenue estimates.
Well,
that's the biggest thing I heard. I think it was an EPS beat.
Well, it doesn't matter if they missed on revenue. Right now, it's at $225 on Tesla. I mean, EPS beat 72 versus 58 is what I just saw, but the sales miss. So 25.81 billion versus 25.37. So the revenue came slightly lower, but that's a heck of an EPS beat. Now, what I think that's going to imply, I haven't seen the margins. Everyone cares about margins with these guys. Are margins starting to get better? Hey, they're the only ones that even make any money selling EVs in North America. But you want those margins. They have to be better here because that's why you'd get a move upside to that 225. But it's still way under the expected move. Only 3% to the upside. There's room to go. That 7% would take you closer to the 50 period up here on the daily. So you'd like to see something in the 230 range for Tesla as absolutely flying to that upside. Obviously, there's going to be
On the bottom?
You're going to have that call come in, and we'll see what Elon has to say. I think if he can give the people what they want, when are we getting that when are we getting that smaller model? When are some of the things that you talked about at the robotaxi event? When are we going to see them matriculate through? I think that'll be fantastic. The Tesla bull's in full force. But again, you're up 2%. I want more than that. Now, you got to keep in mind, from 13 to 225, you have gotten about 5.5% in there. So there's a couple of percentage points to go from the low, however, there on Tesla. Have you seen a number for Tesla on the margins yet, Dara? 19.8 is a blowout. Blowout margins. 19.8 on margins versus 16.8. 19.8 versus 16.8. And now keep in mind the comparison. Everyone else's margins are negative. So when you're positive and getting better, that's good. I'd like to see the Tesla bears try to spin that one. So Tesla, I'd love to see it get that 50-period moving average, but you're basically testing week's highs at that 225 area as we speak. 225 has been a brick wall. We'll see if it can punch on through it. But the bid is definitely holding up here in Tesla, Dara.
Yeah, Tesla's looking great. We also have LRCX coming out. They beat across the board, so analysts were looking for $4.05 billion in revenue. They reported $4.17 billion in revenue. Now, EPS here, they reported 86 cents here. Analysts were looking for 80 cents. So LRCX is a beat. I'll see if we have any others coming out here. I apologize there for the lateness on Tesla, guys. Still was getting my computer set up here. Mattel was a miss on sales, so $1.843 billion versus $1.858 billion expected, but they beat on earnings per share. $1.09 versus $1.09 versus 95 cents expected there for MAT. Tesla came early. We were supposed to get that at 410, but we already have it. IBM also expected at 410, as is ServiceNow. At 415, we'll get QuantumScape.
Yeah, Lamb is a bit of a decent move here. Remember where this thing has come from, though. Lamb all the way at the bottom because of that ASML incident. So when they got hit, all of the names that make chips or make the things that make chips got hit as well. But you got triple bottom there on LRCX and a decent bounce. So I like where this is going. You've already had it settle down. I think this is one that's going to work off of that $72 level. The recent split is certainly going to help there for Lamb. But the big one is Tesla. Free cash flow looking pretty good for them as well. So there's the push. When the cash flow came through, there's the push through 225. That's what you want to see. This has been the spot on Tesla. When we talk about it being an inside day, week, or longer, it just couldn't break out above the 225 area. So we've been hanging around that low. If you hold above there, there are obviously going to be shorts that are now out of the money. Think about the counterparties here. On a 30 minutes, I'm showing you the entire week or the last couple. There's people that are short this clearly in this consolidation. There's always people long and short those, but your counterparty are those that are getting blown out if it can't hold underneath that 225. You're now 230. There's plenty of room for this to the next resistance point. Like you're talking the 250 level, you're talking the 247 level. That's where we can head to. You're already filling in the gap there on Tesla. I still think the call is going to be a big deal. Anytime Elon Musk opens his mouth and is on the call, you never know what to expect. But I think all he's got to do is just give the people what they want. They want a little more explanation. We didn't get a lot of that robotaxi event, Dara. Need to hear more details on that smaller model and what they're able to do in a timeline. Give us some kind of a timeline, and we're going to look pretty good. Don't want to completely ignore what else is going on here.
We got some more results here.
But IBM is down.
Yeah, I was going to say IBM. I'm also seeing some comments from ServiceNow. IBM will start with sales here are a miss. They reported $14.968 billion in sales versus estimates of 15.07. So they missed by missed decently here, 14.96 versus 15.07 expected. I'm also seeing some comments here coming out of ServiceNow. Apparently, I'm not seeing the numbers yet, but they've actually named some new president, CPO, and COO. Also announced a partnership here with Rimini Street. All of this coming out minutes before their report, which, much like IBM and Tesla, which both came early, is expected here at 4:10 p.m. Also, I was trying to look at the Tesla results on the website, but I couldn't click the link. I clicked the link, then it takes you back to the homepage, then you click the thing. Like, it's a catch-22 where you cannot find the results yet, so I'll keep looking at that because I wanted to read the Tesla report for myself from the website. But yeah, I think going off what you're saying, Elon Musk is not necessarily known for behaving in like a way that investors love during earnings reports. And by that, I mean his report for Q3 2023, where he basically was like, oh, I don't know what we're going to do. And the report wasn't even that bad, but the stock tanked because they were like, he doesn't even have confidence in his company. So we'll have to see. I think, the Elon of last year and the Elon of this year might be more different, like a little different when it comes to ego and confidence.
I'd like
we'll have to find out.
And it does ultimately here, maybe the Tesla bears don't want everyone to see the fantastic results. If it's not working on the website, they're trying to hide it. But IBM is tanking here, Dara.
They
missed on revenues. IBM's down to 215. We already pushed past the expected or at the expected move. You're looking at the daily chart in here. You have like 215 is the 50 period. That's exactly where it is right now. 50 period on the daily is where IBM is sitting. And again, when something is priced to perfection like they are, the slightest miss, it wasn't a huge miss on revenues. It was a slight miss on revenue, and then you're getting absolutely punished for it on IBM. So it's a good stock. It was at highs, and unfortunately, a bit of a pullback here in IBM. What's interesting about that, 2.5 short, it was 6 days to cover. There was some shorts in this that are probably at least feeling a little bit better. But IBM underneath, actually held 215, but underneath that 220 level, doesn't look like it's being treated well. Sometimes it's about where you came from. And when you're at those all-time highs, a lot of times you got to be perfect. It was not perfect. A slight miss, and then they're to the downside there. You already went over Lamb.
Well, IBM earnings per share, I think, might be the issue. I don't know if this is their exact earnings per share, but I will see their EPS for continuing operations was a 34-cent loss per share. So I am not seeing if that's their actual EPS or just from continuing operations. What I can tell you, though, is the consensus estimate for earnings per share was $2.27 to the upside. So again, I'm not sure if this 34-cent loss compares to that $2.27 earnings per share estimate, but it is worth noting if that is comparable, that is a huge miss.
And speaking of miss, tried to break 215, couldn't do it. That 50 period on the daily, that first support on IBM just held here in the aftermarket. There is the bounce already back into 223 here. So a big move right back to the upside for IBM. Again, it's off support. It's still down 4%, but a big move off that 215. A lot of times, where's the defense going to come in? Keep it simple. 50 period moving average on the daily, 200 period moving average on the daily as well there for IBM. So looking pretty good for them. Just checking back in on Tesla. I know in a couple of minutes we're going to have Chris.
We have comments from Tesla.
Breter come through, but I'd like to hear these comments from Tesla. It just pulled back $5 or $6 here. Still up, still 5 points to the upside, still above the 225, but Tesla pulling back a little bit here, Dara.
Well, they're saying apparently despite ongoing macroeconomic conditions, they expect to achieve slight growth in vehicle deliveries for 2024. They also highlighted their energy storage and deployments, which are expected to apparently more than double year over year in 2024. So good outlook here for energy storage, and also talking about achieving, quote, slight growth for year over year vehicle deliveries.
There you go. Good look. And ServiceNow, just an update on ServiceNow. They're now down 5%. A little bit of a pun there. So sometimes the bounce is at an obvious spot. Sometimes the bounce is exactly where you would pin it. ServiceNow's prior low, $865 on the daily chart. ServiceNow bounces off of $865 in the aftermarket. This is the thing. If you happen to be trading, first of all, if you're ever trading in the aftermarket, good luck to you. Make sure you've got a broker that
Tesla
gives you all kinds of the orders that you want. Make sure you have functionality and stop orders, or just don't do it. But there's $855 on ServiceNow. These levels on the daily are holding up very, very nicely. Another update. Tesla's still not moving. It's basing out about 227 here, but another updated Dara?
Yeah, I want to share this because I think this is pretty big. Tesla's saying apparently their plans for their new vehicles, including their more affordable new models, or the Model 2 as it's been called, remain on track for production in the first half of 2025. So for context, Ming-Chi quoted today that he's seeing it to start at the second half of 2025 at the earliest, the production for the more affordable model. Tesla itself saying that they remain on track to start production for their more affordable model and maybe some other new vehicles in the first half of fiscal 2025. So that could be a good look, especially after what we heard from Ming-Chi Kuo earlier today.
I think that's exactly what you want, and it's holding on to these gains, and I think that's a good reason for it. So, like I said, the haters are going to try to hate on this one, but let's see what they do with that 225 tomorrow. I can't imagine a world in which 225 is able to hold, and we don't eventually get a test of that 247 that we're showing on that daily chart in there. So what a great look there for Tesla. Not so great for IBM, but remember that was pulling off of some pretty big highs. ServiceNow not doing too well. Lam Research to the upside. I think that bodes pretty well for the chip. We wanted to see things like ASML and Lam and AMAC catch a bid, especially after the disaster-ish of a day that we had over there in most of the chip land. ARM had a rough day. NVIDIA had a rough day. AMD had a terrible day as well. We didn't even talk about Intel. Believe me, it was putrid over there. Look, if the chips are going to the downside, Intel's not going to have a good day. But we are ready, and we'll keep our eyes on Tesla. I'll make sure you guys, if there's anything crazy that happens on Tesla or any of the other earnings names, we're going to jump right over to it. But for now, we have a little bit of trader talk with Chris Breter, our good friend. Chris, welcome back. Good to see you. We've got Chris Breter, Simpler Trading. What an unbelievably volatile and fun day it was to trade. And now we've got major earnings out across the board. Anytime it's a Wednesday in the middle of earnings season, you're going to get a host of names reporting here. So first off, how are you doing? And then second, are you looking at Tesla right now? Because that's what everyone I think is really interested in right now.
No, I hardly ever trade Tesla unless I see a real identifiable chart pattern. And with the election coming, it's just so much a battleground stock. But I will tell you, from just a chart point of view, at least it's an island reversal right now. So at least you have that. But, you know, everybody has been buying on the way down. What's been working since the earnings really came into earnest in the last 10 days is stocks that sell off into earnings have been rallying. You saw it with JP Morgan, you saw it with Netflix, and now you see it with Tesla. And the stocks that have rallied into earnings, like Hilton, have gotten nailed. So it's very interesting that instead of me trying to overanalyze it when it comes to Tesla, it just seems like the stocks that are the weakest have such a low bar that they go up after that. I mean, that's how it's looked to me. So I didn't play it overnight on that kind of thing because the chart looked so bad. It was JP Morgan that looked good when it sold off into earnings. That was a good one. So that chart is a lot better chart than this. but I didn't play it. Same with IBM. IBM has been acting great into earnings, and now it's getting nailed. So it's just interesting on how the bar's either too high or too low.
Yeah, I think sometimes that's just all it is, right? Like it's not where the earnings are, it's where it's coming from. There's no such thing as good or bad earnings. There's just price action after the fact. Now, when it comes to a great looking chart on, as you said, JP Morgan, IBM's had a good looking one. Do you have plays specifically for the upward trending stocks after the fact? Maybe see how it settles down. Do you look for a continuation if the numbers have been good? Is that the read that you're going for there with something like a JPM, or are you actually looking to play a continuation in the other direction?
Well, it's interesting. Most of the time when JP Morgan opens up pre-market on earnings, it sells off. And this time it went straight up, but that's because the conditions were different, because it sold off into earnings. If it had rallied into earnings, like back here, look at that candle and look at that candle. But they had rallied into earnings. So this time when it closed near its low, we were looking at trades over the market with like low risk call flops, because you want to take advantage of the middle strike being juiced because the volatility is up for earnings.
There you go. And great look there, Chris. Can I ask you just very quickly, I know we've talked about some of these failures at the highs, right? And IWM, which is something I know you've been watching, and the second I saw some of this price action, I was like, okay, well, IWM made that pullback off of the all-time high, or you can call it like a triple top in there off of that high, and right back into the 50 literally yesterday. Do you have a plan of action here? Because the small caps have been getting burned off of that high, but if you look at it, zoom it out for a little bit, higher lows, still an upward trend. So I think that's one that kind of bears watching. And when I saw this bounce exactly off the 50-period moving average on the daily, my first thought was, hey, is Chris going to be playing this?
Well, what we were doing, unfortunately, we did it too early, but we're long some Russell stocks and we were short the ES. So the key for me was that purple line. So I'm looking at two things real big. I'm using the Russell more as a tell, even though we're in it. And I was looking that when the Russell got to the purple line, to the 20, and the YM got to the 20, and the bonds are plunged under the 20, the transports are at the 20, the Japanese market's under the 20, then it seemed a given to us that the S&P would go to the 20, which it did, went right to the 20. Now what we're going to be watching in the next week is, are these things going to go to the 50? So, and I have a cool idea for you, but the idea I'm seeing in here is, now if I take off the 20, I don't want to take off everything. It's not a pretty sight. I just want to let you know that. So I want to show you some things in here. I'm not going to take off everything. I'm looking at that. So if the Nikkei stays under it on the red line on the right, and the Russell goes back down to it, and the Dow, then I think the Dow goes to it. And you got a Chinese market. We know, everybody loved it up here. And you and I had talked about not touching it on the way up and not touching it till it hits support on the way down. So in Japan, under it. So it's really important that the Russell starts bouncing from that 50. If it doesn't, then I think the S&P is going to the 50. Now, that doesn't mean tomorrow. I mean, I see Lamb, I see Texas. That's great. But I wanted to show you why I think next week could be an accident to happen if the bond market doesn't go up. Is because of this. Is a lot of funds are 50-50 funds. They rebalance the end of the month. And so they're long 50% stocks, 50% bonds. So as you see, S&P at an all-time high and has gone nuts in October, while the bond market has gotten hit in October, a lot of it because both candidates want to increase the deficit. So at the end of next week, they have to sell stocks and buy bonds to balance their 50-50 funds, or 60-40. Now, a lot of times what happens is it doesn't happen exactly on the last day of the month. So the S&P, when they rebalance on triple witching, that's at the last minute on the third Friday of the quarter. But the month-end rebalancing, a lot of times they jump the gun. I was trying to find a calendar for you.
Right.
But basically, the 29th, 30th, and 31st is when I think you'll start to see that rotation out of the S&P into the bond market.
I think that's a great outlook, and I love that higher time frame. We're often focused here on Trader TV Live of the day trade, what's happening in the moment, what's our next trading opportunity. And sometimes you can lose sight of the bigger picture or maybe the swing ideas out there. Chris, Dara has a quick question for you regarding earnings season, I think, here. So I'm going to throw it to her for a question for you.
Hi,
Yeah, sure. Hey, Dara.
Hi, good to see you. One thing too, for sure. Oh,
Sorry about that. Hi, good to see you, Chris. Thank you for
Now
being
I
here
can
with
hear
us.
you. I thought it was me.
Yeah, it was definitely my bad there. One thing with earnings is sometimes we'll have delayed reactions to certain aspects of the reports. We'll move one way, then something comes out, you'll move another way. With that in mind, do you follow the fundamentals of the reports? Are there any specific aspects you want to know about, like revenue or EPS, or do you avoid the fundamentals entirely and focus on the price action?
It's funny you mentioned that. I don't really look at the fundamentals, but then you have something like UAL. So we were just talking about stocks that rallied into earnings sell-off and stocks that sell off rally. We bet on UAL going down, and luckily we got out right on the opening. That was fundamental because they resumed their buyback for the first time since the pandemic. So no matter what the earnings were, fundamental, and if I tried to crush the numbers, it all had to do with the buyback. So there are times when the fundamentals matter, I think, but I don't usually look at the numbers. I look at like extraneous things like buybacks and stuff.
That makes sense.
Yeah, fantastic answer. I appreciate you going over that one, and especially UAL. Like oftentimes, you know, I look at that on UAL, and I pull up the chart the second you said that, and kudos for getting right out at that open, because ultimately,
yeah, we were dead right about it rallying into earnings, and it did sell off pre-market. But the key is that they can start buying back stock after the opening print.
Exactly.
So they can't buy the last 10 minutes. They can't buy the opening print. And if you look at what happened right when it came out, where is it? Right here. So right here, and I'm telling you, it started really at 9:40. It seems like they're not supposed to do the opening print, but it seems like they don't do the first 5 or 10 minutes. And then it exploded when they could buy back stock, and it hasn't really looked back. But really interesting. You know how I'm into that 1550 trade where they can't buy back stock the last 10 minutes.
Yep.
Go and check out the sell-offs at the last 10 minutes almost every single day. Sorry about that. Look at this. And you'll start seeing it with Apple. You'll see it with Lam Research. That doesn't mean I don't like them now. I'm just saying at the end of the day, there's a lot of opportunity on the downside. There you go. Right here. Didn't really work on the Tuesday, but it worked all these other days. All these other days. Look at this sell-off on the close. And a lot of these were when markets went up. But it's just amazing on how when they can't buy back stock, how fast it goes down.
Yeah, that underlying bid, because usually it's an algo-driven bid. Let's be real about it. It's not a human that's hitting those keys. So you tend to have a really good, solid base of liquidity that's been holding the stock up when you have those buybacks. Explosive in the morning because there's no one else out there except sometimes a few algos. But then throughout the day, you get that bid. When they drop it, it's an important one. But I just want to say for that UAL, sometimes the best trade you make is an out, right? Like it's winning.
You're right. Sometimes, I mean, fine. I'm not a genius. I didn't buy it on that, but boy, we got out when we needed to. But I wanted to show you when you talk about buybacks. I mean, Meta has earnings coming out.
Yes.
No doubt. But if you took when they could buy back stock, they can't now. Well, it's not that they can. It's a voluntary blackout 5 weeks prior to earnings for basically for legal reasons. So if they are buying back stock into earnings and they're great earnings, they could get sued for insider trading.
Yeah.
So pretty wild stuff there. But if you look at Meta, the last 10 minutes, let's say 5 weeks ago, almost every day, 10 minutes before the close, it got whacked. Same with Apple. So it's pretty cool. When it comes to lack of buybacks now, a lot of people get it wrong, thinking that markets have to go down because of lack of buybacks. What it means is bad charts are more likely to work if they can't prop it up during the day. Like here, look at that. And bad news is more likely to nail the stock. I mean, Apple has had this kind of news about headsets and all that a lot of times. But this time, when they had bad news, it destroyed the stock because they can't prop it up. So all it means is bad news is more likely to affect it negatively, and it means that bearish charts are more likely to work.
There you go, and that's why we love having you on, Chris. I think it's one of those observations that it's not about, okay, we're in this phase, they're not buying back before earnings, automatically punch short at 350. But if you do have a situation where it's looking bearish and you've got a setup entry that you already like, or maybe it had a bad news report, you're more apt to look for that trade later on in the day. Just want to appreciate you so much for that. Obviously, as we always say, we're getting on time here a little bit, but as we always say, I want to thank you for coming on, giving us the good, giving us the bad. You've always given us the straight goods every single time there, Chris Breter. And if there's anything that you want we didn't cover, you can always hit us up, and maybe we can just talk a little bit on the X machine. I'll get the viewers some of the trades that you might make before there. Can't wait to talk to you next week because earnings season, we're just getting into the thick of things here, Chris, and it's just going to get more exciting from here. Chris Breter from Simpler Trading, thank you so much. Good friend of the show. Best of luck with all of your trades rest of the week.
You too, and thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much, Chris. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? You want to be able to get different perspectives. A lot of times you'll see us look at the imbalance located for that last 10 minutes. Yeah. Chris looking at, can they buy back? Can they not buy back? I'll tell you what they can do. Squeeze it, Tesla. Okay, fine. Yeah, does it have to go more to call it a squeeze? Maybe we got to get through 250. 265 is going to be a brick wall, but fresh highs over there on Tesla. So we're up at 235. Well, it was at 235 a couple of seconds ago, and then it just came right back into 33. So you're holding on. I think the key was, on the first dip, could it hold on to 225? And it did. That's what I wanted to see. Now, obviously, it got beaten up after the robotaxi event and people were disappointed there, but it doesn't matter. We're going to get the call later on, so anything can change after the call. I want to note, on the robotaxi event, Tesla was up during the event. Tesla was along. So we've seen this story before where it's rallying and then somehow magically gapping down after the fact. So let's see if we can hold that 225, but so far so good. You had Lam Research to the upside, ServiceNow and IBM to the downside there. Big ones for Tesla. Obviously, everyone's going to be very, very excited for this unless you are a Tesla bear. But at this point, it's 4:30. You're going to want to make sure that you stay tuned for what's going to be an exciting earnings call. If you don't listen to it, you can listen to it in the morning. But we have a little something that we got to get to here, which is the roll call. It's a special Dara Tesla moonshot roll call. So if you don't know how it works, you got to get your name in the chat right about now. And if you want your name in the chat, you got to hit the subscribe button. If you haven't done it, hit the subscribe, hit the like. Throw your name in the chat, get it read off in fashionably by Dara here for our roll call. And I always like to thank the entire team before we do this. Big shout out to Fabian and Ramin on the ones and twos right now, Andre as well. Big shout out to my man Sean, to Brendo, to Sharif. We had Joseph yesterday, Sataya here today, and Bears versus Bulls, the best moderator in the business. But it's roll call time, everybody. So get the camera off me and get it to Dara, and let's take care of some business.
Yeah, let's do this. Thank you to Neil. Thank you to Ramin. Thank you to Bears vs. Bulls. Thank you to everybody you see and everybody you don't see, and everybody in this chat. Also, Future Eddie, the TSLA earnings call is going to be 5:30 p.m. Eastern, so about an hour from now. So we'll shout out Bears vs. Bulls. We'll shout out Baron Kia 2020 hookup, Andrew Chow, David Yum, Rivian Millionaire, Mike Breeze, Andrew Chow, Hurry, David. We got Kush, we got Dilwar, we got Daniel, we have Relage, we have Oliver, we have Joseph, we have Marek, we have RFID Trader, Havana Woody, BGZ, Maria S. Lyman, we have the Hayes Records, Michael McWilliams, Hambone, Silverado Mark, Travel Buddy, Marcella, Yoshi, Jimmy Joe Smith, Relage, John, Chris Kyle, just some dude baseball. Scott Edwards, CD Roofing, Alaric B, Smooth 1J, the Super Freak, JD Warren on 20s. We got Anthony Baker. We have Wee Hong. We've got none of something. We have Elong Must. We have Dollar Bill, Sean, Jeremy Newman, Mark High, Simon, Oliver again, Mitchell Burden, TA, Mr. Anderson, Easy Peasy. We have the Others Inc. We've got Mikey DFS. We have so many people here in this chat. I'm going to end with New Journey because that's a great name. I'm so happy to be here with you guys every single day. And yeah, this Tesla, I put the Tesla report in the chat. I might drop it in there again. This is like a crazy report, guys. Even noted Tesla bull, perma bull on Twitter, Sawyer Merritt, even saying he was shocked by how strong that report was. So we'll have to see if Elon says anything that tanks us. He has been a bit bearish on calls before. But either way, thank you guys for being with us. Still seeing names come in. So happy to be here every single day.
Yeah, I'm so happy with Tesla. I even said it on the live show. I expect them, I think they're going to beat, and then I think it's going to be they'll sell it off because everything's gotten so political and all that stuff. But they didn't. They couldn't. The margins were too good, and the beat was too good as well. So let's see how the call goes. Obviously, Elon's going to have his say, but for now, Tesla looking absolutely fantastic. The best part about all this, you think you're having fun now, everybody? Wait till we get to trade Tesla post earnings tomorrow and a whole host of other things like the chip names, which were great shorts in here today. That's what we're all about here at Trader TV Live. The market's in real time for everybody, not talking about it an hour after as it's going up or down in real time is what we're going to do. So for Dara, for the entire team here, we'll see you at 8:30 tomorrow. We'll trade some Tesla earnings. See you in the morning.
See ya.